Hello, this is another Unsourced World Radio. I'm back again with Tony and Doug. We're back on the VHS train, straight into Halloween. Not yet though, not literally, but 85 and beyond. Ones that I have almost completely forgotten. I watched both of these last night, like late last night. So
Cramming
I'm
last
gonna,
minute.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, I got put. I couldn't, man. It was like, ah, man, I had to put these off. It was like, waiting for the noose. All right. Like just let's get started. Let's get into it because let's rip the band-aid off. We have 85 coming out in 2024 because in 2023. Sorry, because they're just pumping these out, and this one is one of the first again that has like a filming device that just is not it's just its own segment kind of copied through, and that is Total Copy, written and directed by David Bruckner, written by Evan Dixon. So let's see here, Tony, you're up on the scale here. What is Total Copy about?
Yeah, so this is told in the style of like kind of like an investigative science fiction program, right? That's looking back on a weird case, like something that you'd watch on like Spike TV when it's like 2 a.m., right? And really, what the story is about is this group of scientists who are playing around with this. I think I mixed it up actually. Hold on.
No,
Sorry,
you're
I think I mixed it
No,
up with Beyond. Did I mix it with Beyond or no? No, I
no,
didn't.
no,
No, I
no,
no,
because
didn't.
no.
No.
this should be Beyond's.
Mhm.
Should be Beyond's
Yeah,
framing
there's ones
device.
in
Yes.
Beyond
Yeah,
where I was like, wait, why
yeah,
isn't
right.
this in
Yeah,
that
and and
one?
and,
Yeah.
be, and Beyond's framing device shouldn't exist.
You know what? The reason it's tripping me up is because the one in Beyond is such a copy of this one,
And
right?
it's so
Where it's like this.
bad.
Well, the one in Beyond is, I would say,
Yes.
85. I feel like this is one of the strong. No, I will not say one of. I will say this is the best wraparound segment of all of the VHS films, in my
Nah.
opinion. Right?
Okay,
I,
we'll get into it.
yes, I want to get through like the plot first,
Yeah.
'cause I feel like we obviously want to know what it is, right? But
Yes.
anyways, we've got this group of scientists who are studying this entity that they call what's the name again? They give it like a child's name. What
Is it like
they,
Ronnie or something? Hold on.
something along those
Rory.
lines.
Rory.
Rory, that's
My
it.
God.
Yeah.
Maybe I should explain what this one's about. Like, is it the right
Honestly,
movie
we
or
jumped
not?
right into we jumped right into it, right? We didn't even do initial thoughts, so I was just like getting my
Oh,
bearings of it. I'm sorry.
okay.
Uh,
Give
so
your
so
initial
uh,
thoughts then. Maybe that'll reset you.
yes, yeah. Sorry. Like I just thought that 85 was a coming back to it. When I first watched it, I was like, yes, another entry into the VHS movies. Coming back to it, I feel like this is doing so much of its own thing that it may be one of my favorites in all of the VHS movies. And I didn't think that I would have that opinion coming back to it. But I think that there are definitely some major shortcomings here. That's not without its faults. It's definitely not the best. But I will say that the segments that really worked for me, like far and away, exceeded my expectations coming back to them. And the ones that didn't work, it's like in moments I'm with it, but they kind of, the classic VHS, they fall apart. Overall, I just think that this is a strong, cohesive collection that works better as a slow burn.
Okay.
Yeah, those are my thoughts.
All right, so let's give Doug his general thoughts. But it's all fair and equal. What are your general thoughts on 85 before we move on to the prologue again?
On 85 specifically?
Yeah, specifically.
Well, I don't know. There's like some interesting things here in this one. This one felt really rough for me. Like I felt like it like half of the shorts felt kind of boring. There's like interesting ideas even in the ones that I don't like, but then when we get to the cool idea, it's like we're doing it in what I feel like is like one of the least in just kind of like a not
And so
interesting
that
way.
happened.
Yeah, because it's like there's a short in here with like an Aztec god, which sounds cool, but then okay, what does it do? It just runs at you and it kills some people,
And then it ends.
yeah, it's like, okay, like can we like be? I was just starting to. This was the beginning of like maybe it's just like this gauntlet of feeling the strain of like, man, these shorts are getting repetitive.
That's what I'm saying. They're just churning them out. They need to curate these. They don't. I don't think they're taking the care and curating them. Because I agree with Doug. There's some ideas in here, and depending on how you look at it, there's one really strong short or two very mediocre shorts. And then that's it, like this. And then some of these shorts are just, I think they're some of the worst in the entire franchise. Like some of them I just can't believe that. Like that's like God, we'll get into it, but that like, and I hate. Oh, we're gonna kind of fumble around, and then last 2 minutes everyone dies. I hate that stuff. It's so cheap. It's so formulaic. I hate that.
Yeah, it's just they've all fallen into a formula, and it's like not a particularly interesting formula. I will say I like the format of this one in terms of like how the stories are told, in terms of like, I don't know if like the Rory one is my favorite wraparound, but I like how that's piecemealed out, and the like splitting the one story in half the way they do. Like, I like how we circle back to some of these stories. Like, I like that of it. Like that helps help it feel like a
liven
little
it
bit
up.
Yeah, because like the shorts themselves, I'm like kind of checking my and these are getting longer. They feel like I'm like, no, we need to be tighter.
Both of these scratch like, or I think Beyond like is 2 hours, man. My God,
they should be aiming for a tight 90. That's 2 hours. Is,
like we're getting like three. We got like 3 to 4 segments in the movie, and now we're getting like 5. Like, God damn it, no! I think isn't Halloween like 6?
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot in 6, and also like I like we will get to Halloween, but like I feel like that's even more careless, right? But I feel like with 85 there is an explicit like approach that is slow burn, right? And I get the reaction that you guys are having, and I think it's valid, right? Honestly, because a lot of these shorts are hit and miss often in VHS, because it's like how these filmmakers are approaching this budget level, or even making something for the first time, right? But also in this collection of shorts, there's like such a weird range of filmmakers, right? So that it feels uneven in that sense, right? But when you do have it, so there is like the tension and the buildup within some of these shorts, that's where I think that some of it shines. Now that we've gone so deep in all of these movies, I start to learn to appreciate like acts rather than full parts of the shorts, right?
Because you got Stockholm syndrome, man.
Not Stockholm, not Stockholm. We are in the position to analyze these films,
I get what you're saying, because I do like the build-up more than some of the earlier ones. I was like, they end right when they're getting interesting. So some of these ones in like 85 and the next ones are like, I'm actually more into the burn, and then once the payoff happens, I'm like, oh, that's it.
I agree. Because that's the flip side. I think that I totally agree. There was an issue where like they're plodding along, and then they end before anything interesting happens. And these ones, they have a great hook, and then they just kind of struggle along after the hook,
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're waiting for the punchline. The punchline happens. And you're like, oh.
The punchline happened like 3 minutes before it ends, and it's not like, oh my God, we're still doing this. And there's one. Is that this one or Beyond? There's one where like, oh, it's Beyond. We're like, God damn it. Okay. Beyond has an issue. Just skip ahead a little bit. Where every single one of those shorts would have been 2 times better if they ended like 2 minutes earlier.
I can agree
I would
with
even
that.
go so far to say that they should all be shorter. Like, I feel like that's a consistent.
I mean, that's how I feel about all of these. Like,
not just shorter, but literally just 2 months. Just cut 2 months before the end runtime they have now, and that ending they have there 2 minutes before is stronger. And at least like, you're not wasting my time. But anyway, total copy.
Yes. So now that we've kind of done it a bit more, sorry that I was a little off my game when we were starting, but this is about like a scientist group that's analyzing this alien being creature as told through this television program that's kind of analyzing weird news, right? Or weird history events. And they're using footage from the actual event interspliced with interviews with people who are close to the event, or the one person who survived. And what's interesting about this short is that when at the end of this segment, the program tells you that there's this tape out there of what happened in the end. And then all of a sudden it ejects out the tape we had been watching up until that point and puts in the final conclusion to this Rory creature. And essentially what had happened was like, there was a scientist guy who was really interested in pushing this thing further and further along, while people are trying to be more careful and considerate, your classic like alien situation, right? And then they go too far when they put somebody in there and it aggravates them, and then it kills all of them. And then after killing all of them, it starts to do like this little dance because it's watching fitness television. and it's commenting upon some of the segments that have been interspliced throughout the whole film in that way. Like I was saying, like before, I think this is one of the stronger wraparounds, and to echo some points that were brought up earlier, at least it's something that's active. With previous VHS films, it's just people putting in tapes, or it's something that's so unwieldy that it just makes no sense. I feel like the structure is very clean. Putting it in this framing device of a television show, analyzing it after the fact, that's nice, and then breaking that rule at the end, all works for me. And then also David Bruckner, he's a very solid filmmaker, and I feel like he handles the horror stuff really well. I just think that the comedic beat at the end, it kind of feels like a shrug. It's like, it kind of like, oh, I wish it built to something a bit smarter, because that's what I would honestly expect from what's delivered.
100%.
That's my main thing, is that the buildup felt like a much smarter, more patient thing than then it just becomes a monster that kills everyone at the end. Especially for a premise where it's like it can like mimic you. Like it's basically like they're setting up like the Thing, basically.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, the Thing is a gory movie, but it's not running around like, I mean, maybe in the like whatever 2011 thing it does, but that's why that movie is bad. But
it was a masterpiece. But yeah, no, it has that issue, definitely.
Yeah, it's like it's the least interesting way you can depict it lashing out. Like, we know that's the inevitable conclusion, is it's going to have to turn on its captors, but it's like, can't we do it in like a more clever way?
And the thing is is that they definitely give you the expectation, because then you're like, oh, it can have X-ray vision or telekinesis of some kind. And then one of the interview subjects is like, and like, once they found out about that, they should have taken more care. And like, well, it didn't really need X-ray vision.
It just uses tentacles.
Exactly.
To, like, people around.
Like once it became able to mimic our faces, they should have been more careful. Like, but it just has like big tentacle with a giant spike at the end of it, man. I'm not sure what did any of this even have to do with anything. That's the thing. That's why I agree. Like, it has good mood, but it just has no. It's lazy, and I don't think that would be the same. That would be the same issue if if there's a stronger writing behind it, because we've gone before this before. Dave Bruckner is a really capable director, and he's done some stuff that we've all seen here and there that is very strong. I like The Ritual. I like Hellraiser. A previous segment he did was very
pretty much
strong.
Like all his features, and then his last VHS thing was strong.
Yeah, and this is, I don't know, this is just a really lazy script. And I think I mentioned this back when we did Viral. When the Viral framing device, I think, is my favorite framing device, because it's like, it's just building. Everything is new. Every time we go back, it's the same story, but there's always some more. There's always a new element there. While this one, total copy, everything's about Rory. And again, the buildup is nice, but because of that is so like lame and such a letdown, underwhelming. I just kind of wish that it had that same kind of structure where like there was always something new going on. But it's like, Rory's dangerous. You can't.
Rory needs
Rory.
to be more interesting to be worthy of this build-up. Like,
exactly.
like every time we check in, there should be some kind of frightening new development that pays off. Like and like you said, Elvis, they like tee up all these things of like his abilities of like, he's psychic, or like X-ray vision and the mimicking. Like, I expected even if that's like
Ex Machina, and it's like Ex Machina. How about that?
Right, like it just walks out looking like one of the scientists or something. Like it's like, even if that's the expected thing, you're like, well, that's what you set up.
That's a little more scary than monster destroy.
I think the thing is that the problem is that the short thinks that it's clever going in this way, because obviously the ultimate irony is that these scientists over intellectualize this being, right? They're putting so much weight and effort into it, so then when it just kills them in this way, it's like a giant joke played on them, right? To the point where it's a giant joke at the end of the film played on the audience, right? It makes sense. The problem is that just like, it's such a like it's dumb, and it feels kind of cheap, right? And the reason that to push back on the Viral being better, the reason that I think that this one works well is, and in comparison to all of the VHS films, I'll even say, is that I feel like in previous segments, they kind of took you out of the movie for a bit, right? There were always these moments where it's like someone had to like stop the movie, look around a bit, and press play. Right. The closest to that didn't interrupt was those toy soldiers. Right. What I like about having this Rory television program, right, is that, you know, it feels like we're watching this on a VHS tape, and all of the other shorts have been kind of interspersed into this tape. And when it does make those transitions into the television program with Rory, the mood of the music that's playing under this program, the way that it's delivered, it's perfectly right for the era, as well as just being like a nice transition between the moods of the other shorts.
The execution is, I don't think anyone's saying the execution is bad. David Bruckner obviously knows what he's doing. Production is top notch.
Yeah, they've captured the
The
vibe
writing,
of this kind
the
of
writing
like
is just
video.
so lame.
Yeah. I'm saying more so from like, what is the purpose of these, right? Like, why even have an interspersal, right? And in my mind, it's like,
Why?
Good question. Why?
Like, they could just excise it and it would be totally fine, I feel, too, right? Like, you could literally just put up a title card, say, boom, the next short's coming, get ready, folks. I would be fine with that too, right? But the in my mind, the reason that they still do them is because they're supposed to be some kind of thematic or tonal thing that carries the whole piece along, right? And the ones that work more for me are the ones that don't disrupt the mood of the whole piece, right? So in my mind, I feel that whenever those segments come in, I'm along for the ride. I'm like, oh, okay, we're back with Rory. The problems only come at the end where you're like, oh, well, now I feel cheated for caring so much when I did get those parts.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Deflating. It's deflating. I mean, I want to say it's the worst segment or even feminine device, but
no, there's definitely worse.
There was definitely worse, but like it would definitely be like in my like C average, you know? Like, I don't know. I just can't get into it.
I want to revisit Fire. I'm glad we're not doing the full ranking till next. I'm like, after some of these, I'm like, maybe I was too harsh on Viral.
No,
Viral rock. I know what you're talking about, Tony, because you're saying Viral interrupted things. Nah, man, how did it? He's like, oh yeah, man, we're back to something awesome again. This time it's like cholos and gangbangers.
You get like a creep in the back of the cab, right?
Yeah,
like,
but then she pulls a gun on him, so it's like a reversal of the first movie. It's full circle. That's a perfect trilogy. Perfect trilogy. All right,
you can have, like, it's all down to opinion. You can have it. It's all good.
So what's any other thoughts on Total Copy?
Nah.
All right, let's go back. Okay, let's go to No Wake, written and directed by Mike P. Nelson. No relation, I presume. And Doug, you take this one. What's No Wake about?
Okay, No Wake. These are 7 friends. They're going on a trip to a lake, and it's just like your classic like young people partying scenario. Like they're gonna have some beers, they're gonna flirt with each other a little bit, and then they go out on the water, and then the shit gets crazy because they just like bullets start whizzing by, and they all are killed. They die, but because of this is a magic lake, so the water from it has brought them, the ones who went in the water, like some of them stay dead, so they like, I think it's 5 of them are still alive, or are 4.
Yeah, 5 of them.
5 of them are come back, and they still have their fatal injuries. Like some of them are pretty gnarly. Like those bullets really tore through. Especially one girl got the bottom of her face like shot through, and I like how the other girl just has to hold like the bottom of her chin. Like,
she can still speak. It just has to be lodged in.
Yeah, someone just has to keep a handle on it. And yeah, I think this one's like it's a fun, like,
it's fun
escalation of like, okay, it's a familiar scenario of like, yeah, some people partying at a lake or something, and like even them dying is to be expected, but then like falling through on the weirdness of like, oh yeah, so like what do you do now? And then it's kind of like them like, what, just doing a like, now what, of like the scenario of like, okay, you're been brought back to life by magic water, now what does that mean? And then like falling through on that. And then this one kind of has like a cliffhanger because they realize that like, oh, we've been filming, we have the license plate of that truck on the shore, that of the people who killed us, so we can find them. And then we cut away, and we don't follow up till later.
I gotta say, as I mentioned as people were hearing about this, take on its own, I don't really, I enjoy it. It's fun, but it's more like just a morsel, Like it's got a good vibe to it. It's very Death Becomes Her with the injuries, because it doesn't repair you. It just makes you sure that you don't die. And so I love all that stuff. I just think that on its own, it's, I think, too jokey, and the cliffhanger slash kind of puttering at the end. I wish there was more, and I'm glad there is. But like looking at it, just its own segment, it does feel a little lofty.
It's just a
Lofty.
ending.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah,
doesn't give you like a
yeah.
full if on its own
That's
the story is the transformation itself. You know,
yeah.
like that's what we're getting here. And to me, that's the more fun half. Like I like the story as a whole, but I do like the discovery
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
what are the mechanics of this.
It's
You
charming.
know?
It's charming.
What I like about this short on its own, separate from the context of them with the later segment we'll talk about, is that it's this, experience of death and rebirth, and it's seen as like this tragic and painful and pitying experience, right? And the way that it's told, it's like uncharacteristic from most VHS films up to this point, in the sense that it's like, okay, here are our characters, we get the usual banter, but then like the death scene is from a bullet from afar, and it's this terrifying moment of them in the boat in the lake, and you're just
Sound
hearing the
design is
bullets.
really good on that.
Oh my
part.
god,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just out of nowhere, you're getting hit in the face with this like amazing experiential moment, right? And then the rebirth of them coming back as these like not zombies, they're them themselves still, but they are horribly maimed in these ways, and they're in pain too, right? Like there's something about that, as they're kind of all like doddering along and like kind of slightly chastising themselves. There's something like grimly comedic, but then also just like really bleak to me about this short. I think that it's a really strong segment, like in totality, it's really interesting. But I also think that just going along for this ride, we've talked about fun houses before on the VHS
Yes.
realm, right? And this is like the bleakest fun house they've ever done. And for that, I really appreciate this short.
I will say I do love the characters. I mean, if they're
Yeah.
if they're implying on more spinoffs, and you give them like a spinoff, because they're all nice. They're like, we talked about this with like the Friday 13th one, the ripoff parody one,
Oh
right?
yeah,
They're like,
Thursday.
Where those guys all suck.
yeah, exactly. They
You know?
all hate each other. They're all argumentative. These guys, they don't like each other. Two of them are dating. They want their siblings to date too. It's
And
fun.
I feel bad for the losses that, like, because like two of them are permanently dead, and so
Yeah.
when he discovers his sister is dead, like that's a heavy moment. Like you
Yeah.
feel that.
And like her brother is dead, and they wanted them together. So when they start snipping at each other, it's like, what does that mean for them? Because you like beginning for like the first half of that segment, like they're flirting and they're having fun. Like they're like, what is lost there? Because they're
Yeah, now they're different people. They're completely different. So
Yeah.
everything's changed.
Exactly, and I do love all that stuff. But some of the lines I think are groaners, because like it's just
Yeah.
like Pet Cemetery. What's Pet Cemetery?
Yeah,
Stephen
it's
King's
that
New
new.
Hollow. Oh, you wouldn't get it. Oh, it's 85. It's 1985. Don't you know?
That's probably the most groan worthy. Like I feel like overall they don't do the 80s-ness is mostly in the aesthetic, and that
Yeah.
they're not like having characters just like bring up 80s things. Other like that was the most egregious one. I feel like was the Pet Cemetery. Like it's just like that.
The 80s, and she read it. I don't believe you for 1 second. That book is boring for the most part. Anyway, hot take.
That's one thing I will say about the whole movie. I feel like there's not a lot of like overdoing of the 80s nostalgia. And I do feel like the way that they kind of like frame the whole film as within the 80s, it's way better than in the past, where it's like we're watching VHS tapes, but it's an MP4, So just in the cohesion realm, especially within this short, it works in that way. And then
Yeah,
also
these are all
another thing-
VHS or beta, I guess.
Oh, that's a funny one. They should have called it VHS Beta or BM and B, whatever the initials for Betamax was.
That's what Beyond should have been. They should have done VHS 85 then beta, like this was the but
Beyond
anyways,
BM.
what I like about the twist at the end of the short is that there was this attack at them on the lake, and even though that itself is its own horror, it turns out that horror is unrelated from the thing that gave them this immortality, which is the lake itself. Right. So I just
love
like
it.
this idea that there are these like two opposing like threats in this universe, right? And
It,
they just
it
suffer the
reminds me of
worst.
Old a little bit, of like
Yes.
how
Yeah,
the beach, it just is there, like they found it. Like the sinister pharmaceutical company are the antagonist, but they didn't like make the spoilers for Old. Like they didn't make the beach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they just found it. So like, and I like that. And like I feel like another short would try and like give lore for the lake too, of like, oh, this is the ancient waters of whatever. That is like, no, they're not concerned. Like this happened to them, and now their main concern is, how do we make this right in terms of like getting vengeance? It's like, it's not like they're not trying to figure out like the magic rules. They're just like, oh, well, okay, this is what it is, but also now what?
and also like they're undead, right? And what is the undead usually portrayed as in horror at nauseum, right? Like it's this vengeful thing that goes after people, right? For sometimes justifiable, sometimes unjustifiable reasons, right? And for us at the end of this film, we're like, okay, well, we're left with this question of this person who did this. We don't know who did this, right? And but we know that they're going to get revenge, and it's in a sense putting us in the position of like zombies or like
Yeah.
vampires, right? And I just like that,
So my favorite thing with watching this, when I watched this first run when it came out, like same day it came out, my brother, and we had all these theories watching, because this one, like because it's so enigmatic, because you only see half of the lake sign because of the squirrel that dies, that comes back and then disappears because it's alive, so it
Right.
carries off. Like we're like, what's gonna happen? Like okay, so we understood from the get go. Once someone started shooting them and we're still on the boat following their POV, they're gonna come back as zombies. Like, oh, the lake is probably gonna turn into zombies. So we thought that maybe the person shooting them was like in the ruins. Spoilers for the ruins. There's this community that kills people that go onto the ruins, so they don't spread the evil, vine weed of poison and parasites. And I thought, well, that was the same thing. Maybe this community that lives around this lake, and then turns to zombies, they shoot them all to keep them from spreading zombieism. And so when we saw like the 7 and all that, oh my god, they counted how many they were and things like that. But it turns out to be something completely different, and I really appreciate that too, because it does keep you guessing, and I think the payoff is pretty interesting.
Mhm. It's interesting to compare them as a whole, obviously, right? But I do think that the way that they present them in this film, because like you're watching this movie and you don't know that there's going to be connected shorts in this, right? And that's such a
Right, like
unique
that could
thing for
just
this.
be the ending when of them deciding to get
Exactly.
revenge is an arc. It's
Mhm.
not it's not as satisfying as the full thing, but that is a change that they go through. They come back to life and then make that decision.
Exactly. And like, while I wouldn't say that, like, if that's all I got, I'd be super satisfied in the sense that I'm like, oh, this is one of my favorite shorts or whatever, right? The fact that it does leave on that moment, it's a murky, like kind of dour downbeat that we haven't seen in this series ever, right? And it's so
We
much
don't
more
normally
of like
see
an
like a
empathetic question mark.
moral arc
Yeah.
in these, in terms of like, we either start with characters that suck or good, like, and then
Mhm.
they're kind of
Or they're
static.
good and then they turn suck,
Right,
like there's
but
so
but
many.
but to be in this kind of murky realm where it's like, well, I mean, especially by movie morality rules, you're like, yeah, they should be able to get the revenge, but also that I like that beat of the two of them being like, oh, killing, yeah, I'm not down for killing, like that. It's I think is it Anna or whoever the girl that he's like crushing on in the beginning, it's her idea to like look for the guys, and the guys are like uncomfortable with that notion at 1st.
Mhm. I like it's this question of like, when you are in this state, right? When you are like undead, like, do you now cohere to human rules, right? And I think that that's an interesting thing. That's an interesting thought. Like, not to say that the director thought of all of that steps all the way through in that way, right? But then also I just like that it's left open enough to where you can take that, right?
Yeah.
Well, and there's
The
a line
directors,
about how they feel different in terms of like when they're asking if
yeah.
it feels pain. They're like, no, I've actually never felt better. Like there's some kind of high from it. Like almost like a perpetual adrenaline, maybe, of like, yeah, you've just been resurrected, and does that high last forever now?
It's like the Eduardo Sanchez short from the
Yes.
VHS2, right? But it's now from this lens, right? And I think that it's interesting that it's like not a defined, like they're not like a zombie, they're not like, like there's not a defined thing for them. They're kind of just cursed, right? and I just like that there's this big question mark looming over it all at all times.
Yeah,
I
it's
totally
cool.
agree.
The director of this, Mike P. Nelson, he did the new Silent Night, Deadly Night. Have you guys seen the trailer for that?
I saw the trailer watching Toxic Avenger and it looked like terrible shit.
It did not look good. I like that the guy from Halloween Ends is in it, Corey Cunningham. So
it looks
that's
like wink, wink, or aren't we being silly? Like, kill yourself, man.
I hate that tone, but then I also like the fact that they're just doing Halloween Ends again, but at Christmas. So it's like, hey, Rowan Campbell, get the work where you can, right? But then also this just looks kind of,
I would like him to be in good movies.
What are you talking about? He was in a Netflix rom-com as a buddy character. Like
he was in The Monkey. We all love The Monkey.
I was gonna say
he was in The Monkey.
He was really good in The Monkey.
He was chameleon in The Monkey.
Dual roles. It was like two brothers, right? That he played.
I think he only played one. Theo James is the guy who played two brothers.
No, but aren't there other? Doesn't
he's
he
Thrasher
also...
and he's Ricky?
Yeah. There's also another two brothers.
Really? That's insane. I didn't remember that. I gotta watch The Monkey. Monkey's great, man.
Monkey's great, but not as good as Halloween Ends. I'll say
Halloween Ends is a masterpiece, man.
Absolutely, yeah. Glad we're all on the same page.
Good. Oh, it ruined Marco. Oh, please, man. You like H2O. There's no way that you have any leg to stand on. H2O is the worst one. Is the worst one, man. Unwatchable. Unwatchable.
The only thing holding back Ends is all the Lori shit, because I'm like, she's done. She's boring now. Like, get her the fuck out of here.
Yeah, she's only like 10 minutes. Corey is... Yeah, he's Corey Laurie, right? Corey is so good, man. He's a great character, great movie.
He should have been the future. Like, they don't know what to do with Halloween now. Probably it's like you had it on a silver platter, man. Just Corey. The evil's gone into him. It's just a new.
To be fair, I really don't want any more Halloween movies because the way that ends, like that's such a satisfying thing. When I don't even care what you do next, but just don't do it. Just leave it alone.
Oh yeah, I know they shouldn't, but they will. I mean, they're probably gonna hard reboot, right? Like I don't even know how they.
I'm really worried about the Friday the 13th TV series because I would really hate to see them start to make these massive properties. Like if they were to do like Nightmare on Elm Street TV series and they just kind of like copied Stranger Things or something like that, I would just be beside myself. I'd be
Is the Hannibal guy still doing it? What's his name? The guy who gets fired from every show?
No, he got fired.
Brian Fuller?
He already got fired from.
All right,
that
sounds right.
So let's move on to the next segment. My turn. Yeah. God of Death, written and directed by Gigi Saul Guerrero, and it is
about Elvis.
You know what? It's a nothing story. Okay, it's about an earthquake that causes a people at a news station to become trapped, and they go through like what's left of the rubble. They're getting further into the earth. They're getting to like a cave system. There's like rocks everywhere, and then they come across an altar. And the altar is to I guess some sort of Aztec god, Mayan god or something. And two of them go crazy, kill everyone else, kill each other. And then the Aztec god's like, "Ah!" And then the aftershock of the earthquake happens and kills the god, I guess, and the person that was left standing, who was completely brainwashed at that point. And they're like, "Thank God that was just an earthquake." And then that was it. What a terrible. This is one of the worst ones. I'm putting it. It's so bad.
Yeah, I did not like it. No offense to Gigi Saul Guerrero, who's also in it. She's like one of the rescue team. I think she's like the one girl who like gets possessed at the end and starts stripping.
Yes, exactly. That's the one. I just there's nothing to it. It really is like, again, there are things that I like. I like the look. I like that it's not that it's outside the United States. I like that it's not domestic. That it uses apparently like a real like life incident of that
That's
year.
Cool. I like using like real historical things and then putting like a supernatural bent on it. But then the supernatural twist is nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah. They get there. It happens. The end. You know,
it almost feels like incidental in a bad. Like we just talked about how it's cool that the magic lake is like separate from the person who killed them. But this, it almost feels like I'm like, okay, did the earthquake just happen and it happened to awaken the guy? Because it almost feels like the god didn't even have anything to do with anything. Like they just found him.
Because I don't think the god would have killed himself at the end. Because otherwise, like, the god kill himself? Because that's funny.
Yeah, it's his master plan.
The problem with that question that you're raising, Doug, and comparing it to the last short is that with the last short, it feels so much more intentional, right? And with this one, it just feels like
Sloppy.
fuck it. It's like we got an earthquake and then this happens, right? And the problem is that like when this short is starting and it's this idea of an earthquake and people, these rescue team trying to save people, I like that setup. That's a great idea, but it just keeps going and going and going, and then it gets to the threat, and then it just keeps going and going and going. And it just doesn't feel like there was much consideration put into how to pace this thing out. I know that some people could be upset about the idea of pacing as a critique, but at the same time, it's like there was no consideration of like how to frame something like this as scary. I imagine there is probably a universe where you could do an earthquake and then this god creature comes after you, and it could be scary, right? But the problem is that it's like too bright. It's drawn out too far.
Just being trapped underground after an earthquake could be scary. Like I was thinking of The Descent. I was like, this is like the bad version of The Descent.
Like even Hell and Back had more of people climbing through tight spaces than this, which is come on, what are you doing?
And like the thing you're saying, like the way it's framed and like portrayed isn't really that scary because the god is like in the background, like he's wearing Party City costume, you know? and he's like, this is just so. It's too cheesy.
It's not a good design, and he doesn't do anything interesting.
It's so cheesy.
People get possessed, and then he runs at you with his
arms.
It
reminds me of this. It reminds me of this anthology movie I saw ages ago. I think it might have been. Maybe is it a show? I think it might have been fucking Quibi's United States of Horror.
Oh my god!
It might have been that
historian.
Because I remember this one where like there was this cop. I think it was also Latin style, where there was this cop who was like going around on Day to Dead or something, helping bust like gang rings, and drug dens, and then like they get into more and more occult stuff. And I wasn't really that impressed with that one, but I feel like that's what this should have been more like. Like you kind of devolve into it, but like no, they get across an altar, people start killing themselves, and then guy in Halloween costume shows up.
Yep, it is as simple as that, honestly. And also like it just doesn't really have a zip to it, like at least with like with other ones, there's more identity. There's like a camera's put in a weird place. You've got like an actor who's going for broke or something, but it just doesn't feel like there's any extra spice or sauce on this thing. It just is as bland as a cracker, or a saltine, Just there's nothing about this that I will remember or forget, and I think that's its biggest sin.
100%.
I'll remember that in Mexico in 1985 there was an earthquake.
Yeah. Thank you for that eventual Jeopardy win.
It makes it more worldly. Yeah,
but yeah,
that's stuff.
That's cool. That's cool. Anyway, any other thoughts on God of Death?
Impossible to have thoughts on.
Exactly. It exists. Okay. It would be the worst of the recording, but
I was gonna say we got another.
Something exists in the next one, and I think we all probably agree it's the worst one of both movies.
I think the one we just talked about was the worst one.
Oh my god!
I don't think that this is like good. I think that there's interesting things in this.
I want to hear the case for Techno God. Yeah.
No. It's not even a case.
Wait.
Like, I'm not even saying that it's good. Like,
okay. So we're right there. Okay. So Techno God, directed by Natasha Kermani, written by Zoe Cooper. Go. What is Techno God about?
It's my turn, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, Techno God isn't really about anything so much as it's just like setup, right? Like it's just like, okay, you're watching like this kind of snobby, like I can smell this place, I can feel this place. I've been in this place before, where it's like,
that they captured the vibe of that kind of like sniffing your own farts performance art. Like, yeah.
That's what this is, right? You're in some kind of dingy, like back alley, like art installation that like maybe someone invited you to, right? And or maybe you sought out because you're like, oh, this sounds interesting, and then you go. But then the big hook of this is that there's this VR tech that is being used in a seance technique, right? And we're watching as this performer takes the audience through that, and then it turns out that they provoke the wrong spirits, it kills them, obviously. Then the audience is like, yay, that was a great performance, and leaves. For me, like I think that the way that they captured that environment was very true to life. I think that like even the performance of it, the way that the actor on stage was trying to like add some, like, imagine in their mind what the ideal scenario would be. Would just be they do this and then
I
it's
think
over,
she's
right?
trying. She's giving it her all.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think we all agree that stuff works.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I don't hate this. That's why I'm not. That's why I'm not saying this is the worst.
No, I wasn't even going to say this one. I'm not even saying this one's the worst. I think of this movie, God of Death is the worst. But of the two films talking about today, there is one worse one. But technically, I didn't hate. I just think it's, other than if it weren't for God of Death, it would be the worst because everything we see in the VR is so goddamn silly.
Yeah,
it's so half baked because she's just walking down a corridor, and then when the techno god appears, it's just she's in the same space, just panning back and forth, and like I get these have a limited budget and like animation for this stuff, especially if you're trying to do a very specific aesthetic. Like that's probably like budget consume, but then make your thing, format your story to work to that instead of just like giving us some like kind of repetitive and bland visuals in terms of visuals that work during her presentation. I like the video within the video before we get to the actual VR, when it's just the guy explaining VR and like the tech. Like I like that guy. But then the actual VR stuff and then the like God of Tech itself is it's just half baked.
It's again, like I feel like there's just not enough sincerity to that kind of thing. Like I think like it would be best if we didn't see anything. Like at this point, if you can't make it look good, and I think that even in best case scenario for something like this VR experience, it'd be best if we didn't see anything. We just saw her reaction to stuff, and then things started being lopped off, and then we didn't even get anything. We don't see anything from her POV, and then at the end, we see that was melt to her face, and her brain and her skull is completely obliterated. Like, what happened? What happened? We don't know, man.
The skull face reveal would have landed better too if, like, I feel like like just having her skin and like rims ripped off. At this point, we've seen like way better gore effects in these shorts too, that I was just like I was like, that's all the God of Technology does. Like it's just like he just like fucking like rips parts of you off, and then
and again, this is another one of those ones, right, where it's like, oh, we're gonna amble about for a bit until it last finish when something happens and everyone dies. It's like one of those things. It's that same spirit. I hate it.
The problem with any of the VHS shorts, right, is like sometimes a director comes into this thing and they do have a take, but then they just don't follow through, right? The thing is that they really had a great idea of like what these spaces actually look, sound, and feel like, right? But then when they need to follow through on what this otherworldly being's effect in this looks like, it just doesn't go through. Elvis, I think your point about making like the idea of this virtual realm just completely anonymous, that would solve this problem entirely, right? Because then it is on our imagination and you can do so much more with just her in the space, right?
And you have a good performer, so like you could trust her to like sell the horror of that.
And also, like, there needs to be a layer where it needs to like kind of be more authentically its own thing, right? Because it's already established that it does this thing really well, and now it's trying to put another hat on top of that of like, here is our Doom virtual ghost world, right? And it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't need to see this. I don't need to like see their thing going around there. And then also, like, when you get like the finale, when you do get people clap, I'm just like, honestly, like, it would have been funnier if people just like kind of got up and grumbled and walked out and left.
Right.
Like if they weren't like too impressed, right?
If they're just
like,
bored.
Yeah, right. I feel like the setup and the scenario and the way that it executes, that's what it's calling for more. And I feel like it just doesn't really have a full grasp on tone so much as it thinks it does. And that's ultimately what my shortcomings with this short is that it's just wasted potential, really.
Some more Amazon
100%.
X-Ray trivia that her stage name, Ada Lovelace, is based off a real mathematician from the 1800s who is like supposed to be one of the first, like they didn't have computers then, but he was like supposed to be like some kind of grandfather of like computer, programming, but not actual computer programming.
Well, it's a woman, okay, and that's makes it special. But yes, first programmer, you know, and I already learned that from Cyber Chase. Thank you, PBS, back when it existed.
So see, we're learning stuff. Oh yeah, RIP.
Right. But yeah, no, I have no more thoughts on that. You know, it's like okay, and then we get into like just like a Lawnmower Man, but less goofily entertaining. You know,
the Community parody of Lawnmower Man had a more realized virtual space, and Jesus wept.
I feel like with the last short and this one, there's nothing much to say, right? But for me, it's like with the last one, it was like just dull and boring with no interesting elements to it. With this, it's like this is enough for me to at least carry the vibe of the slow burn that we've gotten so far.
There's ideas in it. I like the idea of like we've killed God, and now there's like a virtual, like the virtual replacement of that has a physical manifestation. It kind of is like American Gods vibes, you know, like not to invoke author unknown of that story, but that has similar ideas.
Yeah, no, it just goes for a stock ending, you know, like oh my god, like can't one of these just do something fun or interesting or inventive at the end? Because you have all these good setups, all these good hooks, but to what end?
Yeah, there's one coming up that's like that epitomized.
Okay, all right. Remember my time about Dream Kill? The Dream Kill is great, man. I love it. Anyway,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts before we move on?
No, I'm good.
All right. So next we have Ambrosia, written and directed by Mike P. Nelson. Doug, you're lucky turn again. You get to do Ambrosia.
Oh yeah, I get to do both halves. That's cool. Yeah. So now we cut to. It's not a VHS. It's on beta. Being filmed. It's like some family. Yeah, it's a family celebration. You think it's like, oh, is this like a wedding or an engagement party? What is this? And then the more time we spend with this like extended family, we put together of like, oh, this is the girl who killed our undead friends at the lake, and that they're part of this whole like this family cult that has this ritual where they just like go on spree kills and kill in things of 7, and like because she has a video camera, she recorded it, and then they put on a little sick presentation as she showed. I love the acting in this segment of like all the extended family members of like their little reactions to the video when she's putting it on. Like they're like at a family function when people are being oohing and ahhing over like, oh, they're so cute. Like if you're like showing someone photos from your prom or something, they're like, oh, but they're like, this is like, she's like brutally murdering people, so they're like having that same reaction. And then as is inevitable for most cults, fucking cops show up and they're like, all right, we've prepared for this. They pass out all their guns and they're like, we're going out swinging, don't let them take you alive. But then she the one girl, Ruth, who had, you know, killed our friends, like she takes out some cops and then she gets killed, is resurrected, and then tries to shoot herself, but she cannot die.
which answers one very important question from the original, from the first half of this.
Which is what, if you get shot in the head, do you
like can you die again? And it seems like you can't. Like you're immortal forever.
Yeah, you're just stuck.
You kind of just like pass out for a second, and then you come back and you're like, oh shit, I'm alive again.
That water, it lasts forever. That's some good water, man.
What I want to know is that, did that kid squirt anyone else with the water gun? Because he was kind of playing with it out there. I'm like, is there going to be some other family members who wake back up and maybe don't get taken right away, that they're just like, oh fuck, all right, back to shooting?
but you know what's the best thing about this short? You don't know. The last one is just giant question mark, right? Like there's enough of an opaqueness here.
This, I think together, yeah, they work magnificently together. But Doug, what do you think about Ambrosia?
I think it's solid. Like I both halves work really well in tandem together. I personally enjoyed the discovery of the first half more in terms of like going through the kind of just like, oh, what would you do in that scenario? This is fucked up. What are the mechanics now? But I like how everything's revealed to us in this one. I think it's like just very smartly done. Like, and like I was saying before, like the acting really sells the eeriness of this I mean, because it's a very short amount of time that you have to establish all of this of like, yeah, we've seen the Seven before, but then like that we're gonna like, kind of shorthand of like what we know about like cults and family killing things. So it's like, oh, okay, you get what the vibe is here, and it's there's humor, like the ending to it is darkly funny, but then it's also just disturbing, like especially that beat of like where she shoots her, is it her cousin who takes the camera like when the cops come, that like when he's just like, oh, he's freaking out, he wants to just run, and then she just shoots him. It's like that, like she's fully committed to like, that's like their ethos is like, yeah, they're not getting taken alive, and they are basically a suicide cult when it comes down to, I mean, aren't all cults when it comes down to it.
What I like is that the mythology of the cult in question is really questionable, right? Because it's like, we know that in this universe mysticism exists because undead people, right? But then it's like, these people are just killing 7 people for what? The family lineage? Like,
No,
they say it's like to glory of their family or something.
Well, they say it's to prosperity. So so it is ritualistic. Like they think that by killing 7 people, they're bringing prosperity.
Harvest.
Exactly, prosperity. Exactly. That's what they mentioned. They mentioned it's for prosperity, for the health, all that kind of stuff. So
that makes it really ironic when the people that this woman goes out to kill didn't die.
Yes. Then they get caught immediately.
Kill this ritual. Exactly. Right.
So maybe the ritual was working before, and this was a freak accident of like a technicality to whatever god that they're sacrificing to. It's like, you didn't kill something.
Like ready or not rules, basically. Yeah.
I just like it when the aunt has the Uzi, and you just get the shot of her like like firing and then getting lit up with bullets.
The family's great.
It's a lot of fun, and it's a great ensemble, right? Because they are saying these things that they really shouldn't be. It's a fun. Like I was saying with the last one, that was kind of like a fun house, right? This is a fun house in a different way, right? And it's the fact that these are the 2 fun houses that fit together that actually complete a puzzle of something that's actually a bit more meaningful. And then also again at the end, like when she's coming back from the dead, she's just horrified, right? All these little beats they just work so well for me.
100%. Like I think that of the 2, I actually find this one the stronger one, because I do like that it does have a more of a definable conceit, and I think that even if you didn't have the context of the original kind of half of it, it still mostly works, even like through like,
because you see from her POV of the video when she kills them, so you could just watch this one and not fully like it, because they don't really show up. You see the RV drive off, and then you get the little bit of the end of them filling the water gun, but like they're not like physically present. Like we feel their presence because this is like their machination, right, of like their revenge. But like,
well, they give the kid the water gun, and so like there is that like
But you can piece it together, because in the videotape they show the family, you see their RV, and you see all the same RV at the end when the kid gets in driving off. And I mean, I think this one's a little bit more enclosed, and I think that's what makes, in my eyes, a little bit more stronger than the first half, because that one has a really great kind of like beginning and does have some nice questions, but it does kind of leave off for this, now as a whole, take them as a whole, I think this is probably one of my favorite segments and stories, like together. Separately, I think Ambrosia is stronger because of that.
I think the act I think the act of VHS doing its first ever like intertwined segment thing, honestly, they should do it again sometime. I kind of
with a good story. I don't want them to do this with some bullshit where the second half is annoying, and I'm like, oh, fuck you.
Siren too.
Yeah, like this one worked because the payoff is good and works as its own like successful segment.
I just like the magic trick of it all, right? The fact that it does land this well, and it's like this situation where you're like neck deep in this movie. You had just like two kind of subpar segments, and then you're just like, not even subpar, some of them are pretty terrible. But like you get to this part, and you're just like, oh my god, we're back here again, and it's this good, right? And Elvis, I'm seeing what you're saying in terms of like between the two halves, right? I think that the first half does the experiential, like, holy shit, holy fuck, we're getting shot at, and then we're back alive again. I like all of that stuff a lot more than the way that the setup of this works, but then I still like the ensemble. But then I feel like the way that it ends off here is so much better than the way that the last one had ended off.
Yeah,
There is more of a finality there.
It's a good karmatic punchline, you know?
Without losing the question mark, the fact that it still leaves a lot of to be interpreted by the end.
Because you can imagine a lot of different ways this go. Like I would watch a movie spinoff.
Yeah,
like we've watched worse spinoffs for sure. Like there's enough here that you can go in multiple directions of following Ruth post resurrection. What do the friends in the RV do now? And then like, does Ruth try and get revenge now? Her family's been killed. You know, like you could make it this like revenge epic. You could do Undead Blue Ruin.
Yes. Honestly, Doug, you just like pitched the next great like South Korean revenge thriller. That's what that sounds like, you know?
Yeah.
Just undeads, you know? All right. No, but I think very strong. I think combined the strongest of the film makes the film worthwhile overall.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts on Ambrosia?
Nah.
I initially thought, because I don't like look ahead to like what the shorts are gonna be, but I look up when I'm looking up the directors, I can see the names of it. So I assumed that Ambrosia was gonna be the first segment at the lake because of like mythology of like oh, like this is like something they drank something and it made them more. I mean that it's kind of is winking at that, but the fact that this segment is the one that's called Ambrosia, not the first one, I think is interesting.
Right. Yeah. No. It kind of seems like it should be reversed because no wake kind of feels like, you know, you're at a funeral, but it's not a wake. Is they're having fun of the people dying. So it's like, it kind of feels like they should be reversed. I mean, maybe that's the point. Like,
yeah,
because you know they're
playing with us even with the naming.
Yeah, it's like there's two segments that are intertwined. They swap names. Like you have two VHSs, you laid them wrong. Then that's actually pretty good. I never thought of it because no wake. Like that's a weird title for that one. But like having fun, you know, having a party, able to people dying, but it's not a wake. You know, that's clever. That's clever. You know, 10 points.
Well done, Mike P. Nelson.
All right, so the next one, which, all right, I know I've Dreamkill, written and directed by Scott Derrickson, co-written by C. Robert Cargill. On Wikipedia, it says it's based off of a story from Joe Hill, which I'm guessing,
it says the Black Phone sequel from 20th Century Ghosts. So
and
I
clicked on that. It doesn't seem to like have any meaning.
Because 20th Century Ghosts is like a collection of stories. So
yeah, and I'm looking through the collection of stories to see which one even has anything like
to do
this.
with that. Yeah,
and doesn't seem like any of them have anything to do with this.
All I know is that Scott Derrickson had said that this is in the same cinematic universe as the Black Phone. Like that's all I know in terms of like confirmation.
Then why does Wikipedia say this? I don't know what, but
honestly, like I don't even know if this is something that was originally written by Joe Hill, but for whatever reason, this just does feel like Stephen King. That's what I'll say.
It does. But let's get into the actual plot here. Dreamkill. It is about a. It is about. Well, let's just go. Let's skip to the end because that'll be more. Well, that'll be more. Reasonable to explain about these. Let's say the cops are interviewing this this kind of emo kind of kid, teenager who is having dreams of the future, and these dreams are then shown as being recorded on VHS tapes, and they show someone who's a serial killer doing the deed, and so he's been sending these tapes to the cops so that they can help them track down the killer. and during this whole process, it becomes evident that one of the cops interviewing him is his own father, and that the father is the killer. And so this kind of all comes to a head when it turns out that the son was able to have a quick nap and a new dream showing how to get out of the situation where his father kind of has him locked up in a witness room, or interviewer room in the police station, and is able to get the drop on him because he figured out already from his dream how to do so. And I liked it. It's stupid. It's very silly, very goofy. It has all of the Eric Derrickson and Cargill hallmarks. But I think that what makes it work is that it is a VHS segment. If it wasn't a VHS segment, I probably wouldn't like it as much, because it is, I think, compared to some of these other ones that we've seen, it does. It at least has a story, it has characters, and has developments, and it has some sort of arc and pathos and stuff like that I enjoy.
Like, I
But
don't know
also,
if you could stretch this out to feature length.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So if this
not.
was a feature film, it would be much more intolerable. But also, I think that it being this format, this kind of media presentation, it
Mhm.
helps it, because it helps keep things moving along, keeps things from sitting too much or dwelling on something too much. Whereas if it was like, oh, let's just film it like as a regular kind of short film without the VHS kind of gimmick to it, then you have to accept these people as need to be defined characters, rather than just we're just watching them on the VHS copy of a VHS copy. I think that does help sell the situation and the way the characters act more, in my estimation. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I liked the way it ends. I liked the little twistiness of it. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a good one to leave off of.
Yeah, I think that this was the segment that kind of grew the most in my appreciation upon return. And to kind of echo some things that we've been saying about all of the shorts for this collection, is that it kind of feels like the buildup is better than the payoff. And I feel like that's still true here. But what I love is that this is the breaking of the form in the best possible way you could do it, in the sense of okay, we're gonna open and it's these kills, and they're the Sinister style kills, where you're watching from the perspective of somebody, and it's
Oh,
horribly graphic.
this is sinister but good. Oh my god, this is sinister but
I
good. Totally.
kind of I like Sinister, but then also I kind of think that maybe upon return the kills are better here because of the context, right? Because the context is that we're not watching literal tapes, but rather dreams that have been transferred to tapes, right? I think that concept is amazing, and the way that it doles that information out to you is great. And the thing is Scott Derrickson, I don't think that he's all the best. I'm a fan of C. Robert Cargill, and I feel like when C. Robert Cargill started working with Scott Derrickson, his films got a bit better. And I feel like I know both of them as artistic voices enough to know influence-wise what's happening here. And I do feel like this is kind of the Cargill Stephen King side coming, especially in the finale of this short. My big problem is how neat and tidy it is. I don't like how it folds in on itself so easily, and how cheap the final shootout is. But it's at that point, I got a lot of goodwill with how it paced out to that point, and how it gave us that information in such a creative way. So ultimately, I really like it, but I feel like it kind of fumbles the ball a bit in the finale. Those are my thoughts.
I would agree with that. And I mean, I like James Ransom as an actor mainly because of The Wire, but I don't feel like he sells the turn of I was evil the whole time. I don't know. Maybe he was too good on The Wire playing pathetic that there's something where I can never see him as
he has a
inherently
dweebiness.
threatening.
He has a dweebishness to him. It was the kind of character he played in the first two Sinisters, and he played Eddie Kazbrak for that reason in It Chapter 2 as well. So no, that's definitely his type. And I think that this definitely calls, he has a big mustache in this one. Definitely calls for like a Steve Lombard kind of character. I gotta be like his '80s jock kind of fighter.
You need a type A.
Yeah. My kid's a dorky goth kid. Oh my god, I'm gotta toughen him up. You need a jock.
Yeah.
You need a jock kind of dad, and that's I think that's what he's meant to be. But it just doesn't work. It doesn't work that well.
Because there's something about just him inherently as a performer where he's like, he feels like he should be more empathetic to his son, so it feels disingenuous when we get the dream folding in on itself, and he comes and he's like, and now I'm going to kill you, son, and it's like, no, you love your son.
Don't do that. But I may be the only person in the world that feels this way. You guys can join on the bandwagon if you agree. I feel like Justin Ransom is too big for the VHS franchise, and when he appears,
I feel that way about Freddie Rodriguez too a little bit. That both of them are. I mean,
and even Scott Derrickson directing the short. I'm like, what do you kind of have no business being here. Usually, it's just like first time directors and people cutting their teeth in the horror realm. You've been around for decades, right? And like there is a bit of an incongruity there for me, and it's reflected in the casting, right? And also like with those people, it's like I can read what the ending of the short is just by knowing the casting of this, and there's something about that makes this just artificial from the jump. I don't want to say that to detract from how great the direction is, how great these beats are doled out, because I do think it is a strong short.
Yeah, I think Derrickson is, like, as overall his feature films can be very hit or miss for me, but yeah. I think he has this ability, especially with like this short and the tapes in Sinister, that like he is good at creating a look and aesthetic where it's like this looks like something I shouldn't be seeing right now, of like
totally
of like it's like forbidden footage like feel, and like that. If I have any interest in seeing Black Phone 2, it's that I from what I've heard, those segments are maybe like 5 minutes, but there's supposed to be some kind of segments like that in Black Phone 2, like dream sequences that have that kind of aesthetic, because I like that look and the feel of like when he does stuff like that. It's just, I feel like he has overall difficulty getting his hands around narrative, of like he has ideas of like vibes and images, but the connective tissue can be like really messy, and it's still kind of messy here, but it ultimately like still works, like for all the reasons we've mentioned before, like some of the casting and just like the kind of neatness of the ending that you can kind of see coming is like whatever, but it still ultimately works despite that. And I think because it's so tight and focused that he's able to get away with that, whereas in a feature where he has to like come up with more connective tissue and like more of a plot to connect these ideas and these images, is like he that's where he stumbles most for me. So that's like I was able to enjoy the short as its own little thing, because it doesn't need to like come up with all that like connective tissue, even if it is in the Black Phone universe.
I think the big problem with Scott Derrickson as a filmmaker is that like he's kind of more of a remix artist than he is like an original voice, right? And that's why his filmography is so uneven, right? Because like most of his movies are like a mixture of things, right? Like Exorcism of Emily Rose is a court drama with an exorcism film. I like that movie. I think that's a great idea. At the same time, it's like it's not really inherently original, because it's just taking things that pre-exist and he's just made that right. The thing is that the biggest shortcoming of this short is that the beats that are the most obvious are clearly pulled from other places, and like I was saying, it feels so clean to the point where it's like you can feel the artificiality behind it. Whereas with those kills that happen so early on, they're so impressionistic. They're so like they just happen, and you're just kind of left to sit with the reality of it. It's operating on two different planes, and having those two different planes kind of come up against one another, it doesn't feel right. But one thing I wanted to say about the kills is that like C. Robert Cargill and Derrickson, they said that the way that they came up with those kills in Sinister is like kind of imagining like kills from the Ring tapes, right? And I feel like that whenever they're doing that mode of filmmaking, whenever they're trying to make movies like kills that feel wrong, as you said, Doug, right? Where it's like you shouldn't be watching what's happening, they excel at that. And I wish that their sensibilities met that approach more because clearly they feel most comfortable there.
Right. It's just that they try and create an overarching thing to justify the thing that we're not supposed to be seeing. And it's like, you can just show me the stuff. You don't have to come
You
up
don't
with
need all that other, yeah.
Yeah, you don't need the shoe leather to like justify it. You can just show me the fucked up shit.
Yeah, very true. But I think it was pretty good. I think probably the only thing of Scott Derrickson's actually made me feel like at least a tension to it.
You didn't
Like
love the Day the Earth Stood Still remake? I forgot he did that. I'm just looking at his IMDb.
what? The what?
The Keanu Day the Earth Stood Still.
What about the one that he did with Eric Bana?
Oh, that one's so weird. Like, because
Yeah.
it's like based off a real cop's like book or something. So it has this weird
Oh my god, he did the
propaganda.
Data Episode still?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that sucked so much.
I never saw it. I like the original too much. I was like, I can't do it.
It is so boring. Oh my god.
There was a period that Keanu Reeves was not liked, and nobody remembers why he wasn't liked. But if you were to watch that film, you'll understand why people didn't like Keanu Reeves.
He made some iffy choices after the Matrix concluded.
1000%.
It's so boring, man. Anyway, any other thoughts on Dream Kill?
I think it's solid.
I like how goth that kid is because considering his headspace, I bought how goth he was.
Scott Derrickson's son.
That's funny.
Solid performance by him.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good. I like that kid a lot.
If you were to just tell me he was just an actor, I would have just bought it. So the fact that
he doesn't. It doesn't read as like nepo hire. It's like, oh, you cast goth kid very well.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's see here. Let's move on to Beyond then. VHS Beyond 2024, last year. And okay, so your turn again. My God, we're on a roll here. Tony, let us know your initial thoughts on VHS Beyond, and then we'll go in a circle again.
Yeah. So VHS Beyond, similar to VHS 85, coming back to it, I had a different reaction where when I first watched this one, I was like, hey, this was actually one of the better VHS ones. But coming back to it, I'm like, it's kind of more one of the middling ones. I feel like whereas the previous entry we just watched, I loved so much of the tone and the way that things built. This one doesn't have that same kind of tact with how all of the shorts come together. There are probably, like, in quotations, better shorts, but I feel like the tone of it just doesn't really like congeal in the same way to the point where it's like by the end I feel as satisfied. So while I appreciate things in this movie like I do with all of these somehow, like I do think that this one has gone down a peg in my mind. Those are my thoughts.
All right. How about you, Doug? What do you think about VHS Beyond?
Okay, I don't know if I'm going to be on an island for this one. I'm not going to say this is like one of the best ones, but of this stretch of final ones, like I did like the vibe of this. Yes, there's still very hit or miss with the shorts themselves, but I think framing it within I was a little disappointed because I thought all the stories were going to be alien ones from the start, and then we lose that kind of quickly. But so it doesn't like maintain fully the tone that I would have liked. But in terms of the presentation and the vibe that it's setting out, it for me, it begins and ends all right, where I didn't like hate it. This still suffers from a lot of the issues that I had with the last one, especially like lengthwise. And then some of these just like shouldn't be, like I said, like in terms of keeping this like theming consistent. If it's just like, even if we're not doing just alien ones, like this one was advertised as like, this is an ode to sci-fi horror. Like, where's the sci-fi in a couple of these? Where it's like, we could have the one that I'm seeing. I didn't realize that one was directed by Justin Long. That's funny.
Oh, okay.
That one should be in a different, maybe not in any VHS, but it shouldn't be in this one. Like it feels really out of place. Like, but the ones that do contribute to the overall vibe, I think are okay. I just think, yeah, we could use some tightening on all these. Like we should be like, editing these and trimming out all the fat because we waste a lot of time here. But overall, I was like, I didn't feel as bored during this as 85. So that's like the highest praise I can give for it.
All right. I think this is the worst pound for pound VHS ever.
Whoa!
Pound for pound. Because the other ones have had worse segments, but I don't. This is the first one that I think has no solid segment. Like no solid segment. Like I got no enjoyment from any of these. I got ones like that could have been interesting, and then it just isn't, or that is just awful. Like on the barrel heads awful. It's only two modes I was watching this with. I'm like terrible or waste potential. Terrible or waste potential. Like this is not a good one. There's not one that's like I was like, man, that was so good. Oh, that was a shocker. I'm surprised about that one. None of them were good. This is the worst one. I don't think this is the worst VHS. I'm gonna say it. Worst one.
I don't want to. I'm not going to say anything. I was going to say something. I'm not going to say anything.
No. We're not holding back here.
You know what? Yeah, fine. I'll say it. Halloween is way worse than this. I gotta say that. Okay, I feel like when we get there, we'll get there. But it's like in my mind, it's like Beyond. Like you're saying, it's one of the worst. Like the things you just said about Beyond, I would almost throw onto Halloween. You know what?
I'm not gonna defend Halloween that much, but Halloween Haunt is great. Spoiler: I think Halloween Haunt is great.
Yeah, I agree with you. Where I'm like struggling to think of like what even is my favorite one here. Like I don't really know which like there's moments in a couple of them. Mainly it's getting by on like creature design for me, where it's like I like the look of these aliens and creatures. I guess Stowaway is my favorite one.
The thing is, like, the last one got by, in my mind at least, was on vibes, right? Yeah. And I feel and tone, and I feel like that can carry
that one's well made.
Yes, and then with Beyond, it's like ideas, it's like these individual things that are in all of these shorts where it's like, I see your perspective, Doug, where it's like, there are things that I'm just like, oh, I'm like really into that, right?
I'm just really into aliens. So like, if you like pander to that at all, like once they brought up communion, I was like, oh
yeah. Come on, man. I was losing my mind, like I was like,
but then that creates a disconnect because I should say, like, I'm battling against myself here because I was like lightly praising it, but it's like the wraparound narrative
is the worst.
It's the worst in the sense of it's presenting I would almost just rather watch a movie with that vibe.
Let's go into this. Okay.
Yeah,
but also, Doug, I want to say, movie with that vibe, I just saw Strange Harvest. Strange Harvest is what you're thinking of as it should be. It's fucking great. But Tony, circles back around.
Someone else recommended that.
Abduction/adduction.
The wraparound for this movie, right?
Written and directed by Jade Cheel. Go ahead. Let's know what it's about.
So this segment does the mortal sin of letting you know that it was made in Canada, like right up front. So I just gotta let you guys know, like, if you're making a movie, you don't tell people you made it in Canada. Like, come on, that's like rule number one. But anyways, this is following in the footsteps of 85. We're now going through like a documentary show, but now modern, of an alien broadcast. And I think that this promise is great, moving VHS specifically into the realm of sci-fi and aliens. That makes a lot of sense. The problem is that this segment kind of feels constrained by its own limitations to the realm of people that they can talk to, right? Rather than trying to shoot for the stars and just like cast actors to just fill the places of the roles that would probably be more appropriate. I say this specifically because Corridor Digital is brought in during this segment to sell the authenticity of the story that we're being informed of. And, I'm sorry, but I hate Corridor Digital. I never liked Corridor Digital. And as soon as I saw them in this movie, I was just like, this cheapens the entire product for me. Anyways, the idea of this actual broadcast is that there is this person who captured an alien event. And it's like one of the best alien event photography things of all time. The problem with this segment is that every time you cut back to it, it really doesn't evolve in any interesting way. It's just kind of dwelling on the same information and asking the same question just to like
It's kind of
less
just
interesting
stalling
people.
until the end, till you see the thing.
And the end is admittedly good. Like you get like this alien creature with like multiple eyes and they look really freaky, and then like it ends by shoving the camera down the windpipe of the person and you see like the inside of somebody. I think that really works, but literally everything else doesn't. So
I don't think just jump in a little bit. I don't think that works at
Yeah.
all, and I'm gonna say
No.
why. Because when you're doing something like this, right? I mean, like you're really trying to sell it. Like, oh my god, this is a
You want to sell
documentary
that
show.
it could be authentic.
Yeah, and then you bring in actual people, like not just the corridor guys. Apparently, some of these other people are actual like news hosts and like talking heads on other alien documentaries, real ones, apparently. And like again, if you're bringing these people in, you have to actually show something that could be real. You have to go into it like you're building it up, because again, this is like even worse than 85, where like there is nothing of interest throughout the entirety other than build-ups. Like, oh man, we're talking about alien history, and then we're gonna hint like one sentence or another, these tapes, and then we finally get to it, and it just looks like you're any of regular shitty VHS segment. And like, really, this is the thing? Like, and one of the guys like, like, oh, I don't know if I saw it was real. It was just so disturbing. Really? You didn't think that didn't look like CGI as hell, man? I mean, it's ridiculous.
And those digital corridor guys aren't like good enough actors to sell that. But I think the part where you can't really make out what the thing looks like is better than when you get the close up of it with the eyes and then going down the throat. Like that looks more like when it's just approaching the bed, you're like, what is that? Is more plausible of like what these kind of video like real UFO videos are even less than that. But like if this is supposed to be like some holy grail, then I could kind of maybe believe of like, oh yeah, there's something there walking by a bed, that's weird. And then that leaves enough room of like, yeah, that's something, or for people to be like, yeah, I don't know, that's bullshit. Whereas like you said, once you go to the close up, then you're like, well, I can buy into the reality of this movie just because I'm trying to give it the leeway, but like within these people believing it, like no, like they would immediately be like, no,
right.
that doesn't look good.
And it's ridiculous to me because before they even show it, they're like, one guy's like, now the hard work begins, verification, confirmation.
They hyped
what do you mean
it too
hard
much.
work? What do you mean hard work begins? I mean, god damn it, man! Like this sucks. It sucks.
Well, the only reason I give the ending any credence is because how many times, have we seen in any of these shorts where it's like, oh, the ending really is messed up, and then you get there and it just doesn't really sort out, right? And then even in 85, we were just talking about it. It's like we're doing all this buildup with Rory, and then it's just doing an aerobics class at the end, right? The fact that it does end on such a genuine, like, this is grotesque, what the fuck? I like that, whether or not it looks CGI and fake,
it just shouldn't have been drawn out because then it builds such an outsized expectation.
And don't bring real people in. That's corny. Like again, so like it's like Scream 5 for me when they brought the dead meat people in. Like, come on, seriously. I mean,
it's not as bad as The Fourth Kind, which I feel like is the worst offender in this scenario.
You're not me a fan? How dare you?
I still haven't seen Fourth Kind.
Oh, Doug, I would love to hear your thoughts.
Get on the Jojovich train immediately, Doug.
No,
I'm planning to binge all the Resident Evil soon, so maybe I should just do a
let's do that next
deep dive.
Oh, I will say I will not do Resident Evil.
Really? You're not a Wes Anderson fan?
Okay, when this
Paul Thomas W.S. Anderson.
When this podcast is done, bring this topic up again off mic, and I'll tell you why we won't. Well, I won't. Why I won't.
Okay. All right. But so you're saying about The Fourth Kind?
Oh yeah, it's just a dog shit movie, and I just thought it would be funny.
Right.
But in relation to this, I guess it's like that one is doing the thing where it's like, this is real, and like we're gonna show you the fake and the real, and the reality is not that at all, and it was all made up for the film, right? And for this, it's like this short is trying to do the whole real thing, but it's in such an inauthentic way, and it doesn't feel inauthentic because it didn't think out the right steps. It's because like literally like scope and budgetary reasons, it just doesn't really understand how big it could go. And then when it does the communion thing, right? Like Doug, you were inferred when you brought up communion. It's like those are the expected beats, like that's like first day stuff almost, with people who are interested in aliens. So it's like when it's doing these things, it's just like, oh, this is so obvious, to the point where it's like, I wish that, similar to 85, there was more mystery, there was more mystique, if it had a level of that, then I would have been okay with it. But with this, it just feels kind of annoying,
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, in communion, and then also trying to bring in real people, then builds an expectation of reality that it just doesn't gel with the actual like what we're seeing in the movie.
Yeah,
it's like you can't have both. You can't have that trying to like make this feel like, yeah, this is like a real documentary, and then have the same ending where a camera goes inside a dude's throat like that.
Yeah, and how did it, and they said the guy disappeared, right? So how did they get the fucking camera and videotapes back?
Alien mailed it.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. You guys should watch Strange Harvest, okay? Because it is completely straight faced. Like
someone else recommended that to me. That's on my list.
It's not fun or scary, but it's like it's commendable. I respect that movie.
Seems like it might be a good vibe.
All right,
I want to watch it after this podcast. Probably.
Go ahead. Let me know what you think about it, and let me know if it scared you. Because it didn't. I don't think it's scary at all. But it's like, wow, man. After this, like, this is what this could be. Oh my god.
I don't know
Doug.
if this is a hot take, but like, I don't even think that horror movies necessarily need to be scary to be good.
That's
no,
true,
I don't think they need to.
You vibe to it, yeah.
But also for me, like aliens are kind of inherently scary. So when something with them is not, I start to be like, wait, did they fuck up? Because I'm like, I'm terrified of the idea of them in real life. So if you can't like sell me on movie version being scary, then something's kind of wrong.
All right, so Doug, your turn. Stork, written and directed by Jordan Downey, co-written by Kevin Stewart, based on art by Oleg Videnko. What's Stork about?
I didn't know that credit based on the artwork by that's like some kind of based on melodies whistled by Garth Marenghi.
Exactly.
But this is it's okay. The world building here is fuzzy, but this is like a police unit that like deals with weird shit. Like but it's unclear how experienced they are with specifically aliens, or if they just do like unexplained stuff. They're called Warden. And they're taping all their secret missions. There's been all these disappearances, so they've tracked one of the latest disappearances, these baby disappearances, to this house. And there's like these zombie-like things inside the house that they just like won't die. Like they shoot them a bunch, and then they keep coming back, and so they got to go through the house, and it kind of just runs in circles for a bit, and then we find out that there's some like bird like stork, the titular stork, that's like, I don't know, like the thing they worship or something. Like there's like, you see a thing that fell through a hole in the roof, so it's like, oh, the stork showed up and it's been kidnapping all these babies and turned them into alien babies or something, and then they kill it, and then it's over.
This feels too generic to be in a VHS film.
It's like a really dumb video game.
Yeah, like
I was gonna. Yeah.
What if there was like an anti-VHS squad that's going out getting rid of all these things? Like, what is this, man? This doesn't belong here.
Because that raises questions. I'm like, okay, so is this a formal? Because initially I was like, are these guys just vigilantes, like within the police that are going out and like doing their own missions? But it's like, no, they have their own like official thing. So it's like, wait, so. But they also don't seem prepared for what they find in the thing. They're like, oh, you said you followed a person. That doesn't look like a person. It's like, so do you know about this shit or not? It's like,
it's a weird, it's a task force that has officials and then also people who are like victims to the supernatural threat, which makes it really confusing. Look,
and one of them's like, named E.T., which confused me because I thought they were saying E.T. It's like some kind
Like
of military thing
extraterrestrial.
of like
Yeah.
how like military, like there's whatever, Charlie or Zed or something, like within
Code.
something, some kind of code. Like they're just calling the alien thing ET. No, that's the guy whose son was taken, or baby was taken. Like, oh, why'd you name him ET?
The big problem with this short is that it is a giant subversion of expectation, but the subversion of expectation is, what if every single person in the VHS short was competent? And the problem is that it's very boring, right? Because like every threat that comes towards them, they squash. Everything, every development, every time they have to fight something off, nobody gets hurt. Nobody dies really, right?
Even when the guy gets separated, you're like, finally, he's more vulnerable. This guy doesn't even have a weapon. He just has a camera, and there's like a chainsaw guy chasing him. He's fine.
No, he gets back. No, he's fine. Like
it feels like fan fiction.
Fear. Yeah, perfect.
These cops are so fucking cool.
Yeah, like they would be awesome in any kind of VHS situation, man.
I kept waiting with cops with a body cam. Like maybe I'm just the friend that's too woke, but I'm like, oh, well, they're gonna like accidentally shoot one of these. Like they're gonna find a civilian, accidentally kill some like an innocent person, or like some kind of like like plot development like that.
No, that's too interesting. Stop. That's a good idea.
I'm
out of here.
I'm going to be nice there a little bit though, because it's still a really bad segment. But I'm gonna be a little bit nicer because I'm looking up the artwork by the guy it's based off of, right?
Yeah,
and it's just badass. It's just badass cops doing badass stuff against monsters. So I'm not sure why you would pick that to be I'm putting the private chat. I don't know why you pick that to base your VHS story off of, but that's just what it is.
I'm looking at it. Let's see. Oh my, jeez Louise. This just looks like somebody played like a really decent like Left 4 Dead mod, and they were like, I'm gonna make a movie about that.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so one of these images from the artwork this is one of my issues with this one, and some of the just overall I'm starting to notice is that we feel like we're moving farther and farther away from like actual VHS. Like the shots are too composed. Like there's a shot where they're standing outside the house before they go in, which is like kind of like a hero shot from behind, and I'm like, I don't. This is too posed, and that's from the artwork.
Like, that's from the artwork, yeah. So again, why choose this? Why choose it? Like that's just on a script level a bad decision.
And there's scary music in it. I okay, like in some found footage movies I can buy of like, okay, someone did edit this and is like putting their thumb on the scale of like, yeah, they're gonna like put music in it to like make it creepier and stuff. But the VHS movies are supposed to just be like, you just found these. Like these are just like some weird tapes. And so the fact that there's like these police body cam things have like creepy some kind of synthy music. I'm like, who put that in?
And also going off of that point, it's like there are so many jump cuts in this short, like there are so many parts where it's like in a normal VHS short, you just see them looking around a room and then they find the thing and they walk towards the thing. This is like, you see a bit of them looking around, cut to them walking towards the thing, cut to them at the thing, right? They're like, it feels like it's almost so like it's self-conscious about what it has, and it's like, but it's also portraying this like, fuck you, we've got like, jokes and shit, kind of attitude to it that I just don't really appreciate. I'm like, it's not really that funny or clever as it thinks it is,
It's zany. It's zany.
Yeah.
Which I also say about another short we're gonna go to in
that's probably my least favorite if we were talking about the same. It's so crazy.
Oh my god. It's like, you know what, but Stork, man, the
stork looks all right. Like the creature, like I said, creature design is carrying me a long way on this one because I like aliens. I mean, if you can come up with an alien design that like looks all right, I feel like overall, like the Shudder era creature design, they're pretty much nailing it. Even if like the shorts themselves are,
I will say though,
the use of the things are questionable. But yeah,
I will say though is that in the artwork they're normal cops. And in the short, they're like super SWAT team. I think it'd be more interesting
if they were more vulnerable.
They're just like regular cops, and they so that you get like that kind of like, oh my god, these are just regular schlubs who you come across something, but no, like we're like the we're like the Ghostbusters. Is the vibe you get from them. Like that's so lame.
Some of these zombies look cooler in the artwork too.
Yeah, that's true.
And also just like kill some of them. You know,
Yeah.
like I want to see a body count from our protagonists.
There's no reason to keep, especially in an anthology. The only reason to keep characters alive is like if you're gonna follow up later.
It would be funny if this got the spin-off.
Like all my favorite characters. Yeah, I can't remember any of their names except for E.T. He died.
E.T. is the only recognizable name.
What if this was like the VHS 85 where it was connected segments, but this one was just connected with every segment where it's like when it would have ended, they just appear and destroy the thread. They're just like, we did it, guys. Don't worry, it's done.
You know what? I would appreciate that.
I almost thought they were gonna do something like that. Like in later ones, we'll get to it. I'm like, are they gonna find some kind of weird bird thing, and this is gonna be like the same alien or something? Like I don't know, but like, yeah, if. Boring use of chainsaw. It's like,
man,
you're gonna bring a chainsaw to a horror movie? Like, come on, man, let's
step it up a bit. I'm with you there.
So, boring zombies, boring everything. Move on to the next. Any other thoughts?
Nah, I'm good.
Nah.
I'm not sure what I did to deserve getting the next one because I know that.
Yeah, sorry, Elvis.
some people, whatever. God damn it. All right, Dream Girl, directed and written by Virat Pal, co-written by Evan Dixon. Dream Girl is about. I have no idea what the fuck this is about. What is it about? What is it about? What is about the heart of it? Because tentatively, it is about this Bollywood, idol, this Bollywood, starlet, who is like on, who started a new production, and everyone wants a piece of her, managers, agents, fans, paparazzi, all of these things, right? And then let's see here, she turns out to be a cyborg and kills everybody. The end.
This is when I started to be like, I was like, oh, okay, so the theming is going to be very loose here, because I initially was like, oh, this is all going to be aliens, and then I'm like, it's cyborg.
She might be an alien. You don't know.
She might have been made by an alien, or I don't know.
They never tell us, right? One thing I will say, Elvis, is that I do think that like what this is kind of about is like the caste system in relation to Bollywood filmmaking, right? And I think that commentary,
they gesture at that.
I think that's the allegory.
It's like on its face, interesting. The problem is they do nothing with it. Like that's the only idea they have.
The most interesting idea of that is when the two guys who basically I'm getting like Indian Nightcrawler vibes, but I guess they're more like TMZ of like you gotta get the scoop on the start. But like when the one of them is talking about like, oh, you don't understand the pressure that she's under, and the one guy snaps like, pressure, like she's fine, she can never work again, she'll be fine. Like this is like the pressure's on guys like us. Like that's the most interesting like kernel of a thing. But then we don't even, that same character who says that like drops that idea later when he meets we don't really like follow up on that.
Like, okay, I can see what it's trying to say about like not even just like caste culture, but also idol culture. It's called Dream Girl. It's about celebrity culture, like starlet culture. All that's kind of inherently toxic and very kind of controlling, manipulative kind of structure that these starlets can be in. And again, the gesture toward that, and it becomes a cyborg and kills everybody. So maybe they were right to keep her under control. I don't know. Is that the message here? I don't know.
Women should be controlled because
they're evil robots.
Go crazy.
You know how women be. Women be killing.
That is like the central problem with this thing, where it's like the morality does feel kind of uneven, where it's like, what are you trying to say? And when you try to drill into it, it just doesn't really have the answers really fully for it, right? It is kind of trying to do the ex machina thing, but then it's also like, why would it just kill indiscriminately? Like I think the mortal sin of this short is that the song that they repeat over and over again, it needed to be like 10% better. You know, it wasn't terrible, you know, but it was like
There
I just
was
wish it was a
some
bit
effort
better.
put into it. Like I will say,
Mhm.
it made me think of when Chloe Zhao was hyping the Eternals. She's like, "We did a full Bollywood dance number for Kingo," and then when they introduce him, it's like the slowest, like unmusicalist thing you've ever seen, and it lasts for like 2 seconds, and you're like, "What was she talking about?" Like at least they put some money in the budget to like that number, like so like I that's something,
Mhm.
I guess.
That's something. That's something. You know,
It-
that's epitaph or beyond. You know,
yeah.
It's just the
Like
least interesting thing she could do is start killing like that.
right?
This speaks to the thing with 85 too, where it's like, okay, she's a cyborg that's like the starlet, so then now what? And it's like, oh, she's just gonna, it's just the boils down to the same repetitive formula of like, yeah, she's just gonna go start ripping shit up.
We're gonna
why
set
doesn't
things up, and in 2 minutes, everyone's dead. That's it. It's
why doesn't
formula.
she spare the guy that gave her that realization, right? Like the
That's
fact
what
that
I
she's
thought we were, or do some kind of what was the date night from the first one where the
Yes,
with the heartbeat? Like
yeah.
amateur night.
I thought it was gonna be something like that.
That'd be interesting.
Unfortunately, Greg Bishop was not at the wheel for this one. We didn't get that.
We need to do some of that Dante the Great magic. You know, there's actually the Starlet because she got the evil cape. That's how she does it.
I knew it.
But yeah, no, it really is like, oh god, this might be worse than God of Death because it. There really is no element to this up until the end, you know, and then then it's over, and you know, everyone dies. The end. The
Mhm.
formula is so bad. How do people live with themselves making segments for this series doing the same thing? You know,
What I will say is at least that there's like variance here, you know, like in settings and in tone, you know, like I do like the fact that we go inside of the professional Hollywood camera, Bollywood cameras, you
yeah.
know, for that brief moment. It's like it is still through and through like considerate of the form, but
Mm.
when it comes to the structure of the story,
Yeah,
doesn't
visually and
really happen.
setting
Yeah.
wise, it there is some variation. So I'll give it that. I just wish we got more like structural and like
Yeah.
story variation because it all
Yeah.
just boils down to like this crazy scary thing is gonna kill you.
Yes, exactly.
And that's why I push back about that being worse than that earthquake one in the last one, because the earthquake was just like, oh, rocks everywhere. You know, like
You know, okay, I'll agree with that. I will say that at least there's a good gag at the very end when she gets out and the paparazzi start taking a photo. She starts voguing a little bit.
I
That
liked.
was
yeah,
I
that was
chuckled.
funny.
a little funny. So 1 out of 10,000. All right. Any other thoughts on Dream Girl?
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, you got this masterpiece next.
Oh,
Live and Let Dive, written and directed by Justin Martinez,
My
covered in by
favorite Bond
Ben Turner.
theme.
Yeah, it is a great. It's a
I'm
great
not
theme.
sure how. I'm not sure
Explain
how
this.
sarcastic you're being. I'm
No,
not sure how sarcastic
awful,
you're being.
awful, awful.
Okay, all right.
It should have
All right.
ended like halfway through.
I mean, a lot of these should have, right?
Mm,
Yeah, but like, hey, look, I'm not gonna defend this one too hard. I'm not gonna say it's like, you know, great. I'm not gonna say that it's terrible though either, because I think this is fun, you know. Put the stamp out and just say fun. That's it for me, you know.
yeah. Okay.
But when it comes to the segment itself, what it's about is you know, you open up and you've got this collection of people. They're going skydiving in California, you know, and they're all excited to do so, but then they look out the window and what do they see but a fucking flying saucer right next to them. And then their airplane gets destroyed, and you're watching from the perspective of a guy wearing a GoPro who flies down to earth, and he gets parachuted into an orange orchard. Is that what you call it? Orchard? Is it a
Yeah.
field? Who knows? Okay.
I say
all right.
orchard, but my brother says stop saying orchid. It's orchard. Like no, I'm saying orchard. I feel like Stewie. Cool flip.
The way you say it's cooler, so
Orchid, right? It's orchid. Oh, fuck
you,
it.
you
That's
gotta
me.
own it. Like that's just who you are. You know,
Angry
and you wouldn't have it
orchard.
anyway. There you go. But anyways, it's like he lands in an orange orchard, and the person who is behind them was killed, and they're running through the orchard, and like not even half the people survived. And then it turns out that it was aliens that are on the ground who are attacking them as well, burning things into their eyes and slashing them with like knife hands. The protagonist runs to a car, tries to get in with this person, but then the person shoots their thumb off. They try to drive away in that person's car, but then they end up into a UFO, and then the UFO kind of turns into a trash compactor and just kills them. Yeah, look, this thing is not perfect, but when it comes to just like the funhouse effect of a VHS film, you can do worse. I think this is a lot of fun at points, and I do like the conceit of we're going to take something from the sky to the floor and see how it plays out. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I gotta say, I was actually being honest that this ended like halfway through. I'd be totally on board with it because I love the idea of like they're just on this kind of trip for they're celebrating the birthday
The
of their
setup
friend.
is solid.
Yeah, and then like, oh wait a minute, there's something outside, and then they get like this UFO, and maybe it doesn't even try to attack it. It just they collide, their plane goes down, and then like on the ground, it's like, what are we doing? Like how we survived, like all these injuries. That itself, like that's so good. Like what if they don't even see the alien again? What if that's just like one like weird incident that they got like at the corner of their cameras, right? And the rest of it is just like them dealing with the aftermath of that, like we talked about with No Wake, like that was so good. And then the alien comes around, it's like this evil giant scorpion monster, and like this is boring as fuck compared to everything else that was going on. That's me.
I would agree with that. I mean, I like the design of that alien, whatever, like its face opening up is cool. It'd be a cool enemy design in a like video game, but it feels less compelling than the start of like what you said of like this is kind of like incidental of like they this aliens weren't even after them. It's kind of confusing of like why the aliens are even pursuing them on the ground because it seemed like they would be more engaged with we see military jets fly by of like, oh, shouldn't the aliens be like focusing on that, not some just like random fuckers who like crashed on the in an orchard. But that part is just less compelling and kind of repetitive. Like it's an all right as an experience, but yeah, I just feel like with the setup we could have done so much more in terms of like you said, just like the aftermath of like we could have pushed it even further. Like maybe this would be breaking like I don't know the reality of these movies, but like we see it fully like we get inference from the background of like what's happening of like oh the military alien conflict is escalating. Like you could start being like oh there's War of the World stuff happening like in the background, and it's like they only like clipped like part of this, and like that's like fuck them of like that they're
Like mini Cloverfield,
Yes. Yeah.
But no, you got sculling around like big laser eye things, and like he's screaming the entire time, and then he gets tractor beam. Like, why is this
it's just
escalating?
a monster chasing them and killing. This is like,
What?
can't we escalate in a more interesting way?
Exactly. Like it's like
Yeah.
I don't want to see more of this. That's not what the hook was. The hook was like this is like it's like
The
that
skydiving.
it's like this Patrice. Have you heard that Patrice O'Neill rant about Independence Day?
No, I haven't heard that actually.
All right, so I'm going to paraphrase it, and I'm going to do not justice, obviously. But he was on board for Independence Day for like the first 30 minutes because like it's just like everyone reacting to this impossible thing, and then you're seeing like just naturalistic reactions, like on TV, news anchors, all of that. But then the moment it starts being like we gotta take the fight to the aliens or seeing the aliens directly, he's like this gets too fucking cheesy, too fucking corny. Like what are we even doing here? That stuff was working. The naturalistic kind of grounded stuff was working, and then that's how I felt like here. Like once we got the alien, like this is just these are two different kinds of tones, and I don't think they work well together because the way it's played off. Like if you're going to go this big direction to begin with, then you wouldn't like the way they framed the alien encounter to begin with is like so subtle, and for a VHS
like I
setup.
didn't even see it at first. That I like kind of rewound. I was like,
Exactly.
wait, what was that?
Exactly.
And then you get a better glimpse of it again. But then if that was all that we saw of it, that would be way better.
Exactly. That's cool. But again, if you're gonna go like this big direction anyway, just have like a big opening then. I think it sets it's smart in a way that I don't think was intentional. because of what happens later. You know, like this is smartly done. Oh wait, no, big monster with like scorpion.
Yeah, you could have that opening be huge. Like, not only do you see jets fly past, like, you see like a mushroom cloud or something. Like, oh shit, this shit escalated really quickly.
But like, no, it's subtle and it's clever and it's visuals, and then suddenly becomes not. I'm like, why?
The big problem for me is that like we do see these aliens like use this like heat thing in their face on other people, and it's like, oh my god, are they killing them, right? But then like you see that they're okay after the fact, and it's like, I want to know what that did to them. I want to know like how that changed.
Don't
their
show
lives,
that unless that does something,
Exactly, because that's not the thing that kills them. It's either the thing in their arms or being in a trash compactor UFO, right? The problem is that this short like gestures, to bring up another thing that was brought up earlier, at more interesting things, but at the same time it just kind of falls apart. For me, it's like, the alien designs are cool, but they're not.
Warden should have showed up and shot him.
Yeah,
Warden. VHS Warden. How about that?
Rory comes in and teaches them a lesson.
Let's just end game this shit. Portals open up and
VHS Rory versus Warden. Say that 5 times fast.
Adam Wingard with his like camera eye comes in and sicks the ghosts on him. That's how it concludes.
See, this is it's so dumb. It's looping back around. I'm like, wait, I would watch this.
I mean, why not? If VHS, they're running into the ground anyway. Let's go for it.
Yeah, let's just
We've put more thought into this series than like any of these directors, right? So like at this point, we've earned it. We are the target audience for that.
Shudder, give us the VHS franchise. You've heard us. You've listened. I know you're listening, Shudder.
Who else is talking about VHS Halloween? Who else?
Come on.
Anyway,
you're probably not going to want to hear what we say about VHS Halloween, but
But Tony, finish your thought. See what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know. Like one thing I will say is I don't think that like it taking place during the day is necessarily a ding against it. I think that that's like fine. I think that like the orchard also is not a bad idea because it's kind of like a maze. The problem is that it's just like kind of basic, like it's just, I'm not going to remember this in like 10 years, and like sometimes you got to look at these VHS segments in that sense where it's like, even if the build up to the payoff wasn't fully worth it, it's like, I'm still going to remember some of that in a long time. For this, it's like in one eye out the other, and that's how I feel about this segment.
Yeah. 100%.
But still not the worst one. So
still not the worst one. Shockingly.
Easily not.
Okay. So
as I let out a big sigh.
Okay. Well, you're the lucky one, okay, Doug, because you get to talk about Furberries, written and directed by Kevin Smith. Okay, I'm sorry,
Jokes on you. You activated my trap card, Kevin Smith.
But Christian and Long and Justin Long, who should have gotten sued, but I'm guessing because they're friends with Kevin Smith, they didn't.
I would have, if I was picturing him watching this the whole time and him being like pissed. I'm sure he doesn't seem like a guy who gets mad. I'm sure he was happy and laughing or something.
No, Doug, he smoked enough weed at this point in his life. He can't get mad anymore.
It's physically impossible.
But yeah,
he actually teared up while he was watching it. He was like, "Oh, this is beautiful." Anyway, this is about some animal rights activists, some PETA people who are like, "Oh, this dog daycare lady who's doing kind of like a bad Kathy Bates impression is she's like maiming these taxidermy animals that she's displaying, like they're victims, and she's like torturing these dogs and shit." And so they a couple of them go undercover, like pretending like they're trying to board one of their dogs, and then she gets wind to it and reveal that she's doing she's tusking them, she's turning them into dog people, and that's what's going on. The rest of the PETA guys show up, and now they're like fully half dog men, and they get sicked on their friends and kill them, and then it's over. Like it's stupid.
It is so lame, and why is it in this? What is beyond about this?
What is this? There's no sci-fi.
You
There's
know,
like what?
I'm gonna say
I
it.
guess like the body horror, but like
No,
you're really
I'm gonna
taking it out
say
for a walk, as
I'm gonna
they'd say.
big spoiler for next week. Big spoiler for next week. But this is maybe of like without any other like qualifications or hangups. The other ones we haven't talked about have yet. This might be the worst VHS segment I've ever fucking seen because of two
Oh
big reasons.
man.
One, it has nothing to do with the fucking theme. Okay, so by Occam's razor is that this is just simply just like a passion
What is this
project,
doing in
a
here?
vanity project. It's a vanity project. Like, oh my god, Justin Long wants to do a short. We got to squeeze it in. We got to squeeze it in. We got to find someplace for it. Oh my god, Justin Long is long. Like I don't mind Justin Long, but I think that is the reason why, and it's just annoying. It's annoying that we gotta capitulate to like a passion, to a vanity project. Also too, it is not in any way coming from a spark of creativity. It's just literally Tusk.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
a bad remake of a movie that's already like
Not good.
yeah, exactly. So like of those two, like there's no creativity or ingenuity to it, in terms of storytelling or what it even has to do with VHS. And it comes from like no place of like imagination. So I think this is like this, if not for ones we haven't talked about yet. This is like the worst one I've seen so far to date.
I will
Wow.
say I don't think her performance is good, but the actress who plays Becky, like the daycare lady, if she was in like a good thing with like a good script, I would be interested to see what she did, because she's like going for it. Like I said, it's like a
Yeah.
bad Kathy Bates like kind of thing, but I'm like, oh, if she actually had like good material, she seems committed. So like I would be interested to see what she did with like actually gave her something.
With what she's given, right? She sells exactly that. Like I like sometimes when you're watching a short, you can totally imagine what the director of that short had told them to get that performance. And in this case, you can see that, right? And I'm not saying that to discredit this actor. I feel like she does it perfectly. I'm more so saying from the fact that Christian and
She did
Justin
what
Long,
she was asked to do. Like, yeah.
and she did it better than they deserved, is what I'm saying,
Yeah.
And because like Justin Long and Christian Long, they are just copying Tusk, and even though Tusk is not a better film, not a better film, I should say, but a good film, the difference is that you buy the transition, you buy that like Justin Long stops seeing themselves as a human and sees themselves as a walrus. And in this, just by nature of the short runtime that they have, I don't buy that like some of these dogs are dogs. I don't like,
They yada
like
yada it so hard that I don't understand the transformation, and I'm like, yeah, what is this? Are you just like grafting hair onto them and like shit? I'm like,
yeah,
so that it's purely psychological, which sure you could condition and torture someone to like make them act like a dog, but we just don't
sure.
see the process of that, so we just have to like fill it in completely. Like the short's not doing anything for us in that regard.
Hey, some people do this voluntarily, and if that's your thing, go for it, But
Oh
when it
God.
comes to this situation, like I just don't know if some of these people are going to buy into it to the degree that they
That
have
would
it
have been
here,
more interesting if they added like a weird fetish like the angle to it. Like that's something.
Hey, you're making a real movie there, Doug. Get out of here. That's not what
Yeah,
they're
sorry,
they're
I keep trying to
yeah,
make these
yeah.
ideas like have something to them.
Like you're too smart, like Justin Long and Christian Long just can't deliver that.
What if guy
unfortunately.
was dog? That's idea.
And also just like another thing too, it's like when Justin Long turns into the walrus at the end, like in Tusk, right? Like think about his body, right? Like he can't go back to being a human anymore, right? Like with the dogs in this, like it looks like they can be turned back into people pretty easily.
It
And
looks
I
like
don't know.
it'll probably be like some kind of painful surgery or ungrafting or whatever, but it doesn't
Mhm.
look like. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like
Yeah,
Tusk,
yeah,
it's like there's no going back.
yeah. Like again, also like you were saying, like we are talking about, like, well, this segment isn't that good, but the designs and the aesthetic and all that kind of stuff are good. This one, the designs of the dog hybrids are really
It's
shitty.
bad.
And like they're like,
Yeah.
oh, look, you got these teeth that can we're gonna graft this jawbone to you so you can get
Looks
like a big,
stupid.
you get good maul. It looks stupid, but then we at the end when we get the close up of the guy who's doing some porch pirating, getting eaten. The teeth never open because they can't really. So like, what's the point of them being that dumb looking and then not even working?
Yeah, because like they even say in the short, it's like, oh, don't worry, these jaws are going to replace your thing, and it's going to be easier for you to eat. And it's like when you see it in action, it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like they're actually eating with that,
They don't open.
No, so it's like like that's the problem. It's like to give Kevin Smith his flowers. It's like you kind of do believe in the reality of Justin Long Walrus and how he has to operate versus the way that Justin Long chooses to make these human dogs operate. Though I will say, like, just like, the idea of like putting the paw pads on the hands, like there are steps made. The problem is it just doesn't go all the way. And I wish that like a more talented director was doing something like this. The people who made Tucker and Dale versus Evil could have really made this well.
Yeah. And it's just, again, it's out of place, man. What is he been doing and beyond? Like it's just a break on the experience, Like
It takes me out, like, regardless of what you want to say about the rap, which I think is very flawed, but at least like there is somewhat of a vibe we have maintained up until this point, and this totally jettisons that.
Yeah, it's just not good.
All right. Any other thoughts on furry babies before we get to the very last?
Justin Long, I await your apology.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Hey, here's my email. Rolo Tony Browntown at 2022.
Browntown. You're all that way, huh?
Hey, I go based on the origin of my name, and that's just the way it rolls, and I've owned it, 2022@gmail.com, reach out, Justin Long. We'll square this up.
We'll square. We make it right. We can mediate between you and Kevin. Find out.
Exactly. Yeah. We're in touch.
Whatever's fair.
We'll help him make his hockey movie that he wants to do.
Yeah, and let's move Jaws unless Bambi saw the lettuce.
Yes, perfect. Finally.
Right. So, okay, last one of the segment, last one of the film, and probably the closest to being good. I still have some issues with it.
Yeah.
All right. Stowaway, directed by Kate Siegel, written by Mike Flanagan. And so this one is about a woman who has abandoned her daughter to go out and make basically a video and capture evidence of aliens.
Oh no!
Yeah. Wait, he leaves? He
just dropped out for a second. Sorry. Right. Yeah, go
ahead. Make a video of trying to get some evidence of aliens existing, and she's able to track them down using previous reports about where they are in the area, and she decides to enter into an alien spaceship and gets carried away, gets carted off. I think your mic is still picking stuff up.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear myself too.
Yeah, I moved my laptop through to the next room while I'm like getting multitasking, so it's just coming through my laptop. Sorry about the echo.
No problem. All right, so so as I was saying, she stores up away on the spaceship, and it turns out that it's pretty fun. She was saying like, well, people were. She said this before she gets on the spaceship, way before, that if they needed to travel through like warp speed, they would have to stop and start in order to catch it and not destroy the ship. And she's like, well, I wonder how they would have to handle that kind of pressure and that kind of immense power of like stopping and starting at near light, near the speed of light. And then she finds out the hard way that, well, it turns out that when they're in the spaceship, they cocoon themselves in like security gel and stuff like that. And she does not have cocooning gel herself, and so she gets ping-ponged around the spaceship every time. But thankfully, they have healing nanites that will heal her instantly. But turns out that they don't know what human DNA is, so they keep healing her into the alien DNA. and then that's how that happens. She ends up being stuck on the ship, horrifically continuing to be mutated into an alien. And I liked most of this. This might be first. I liked most of this. I just think that the end, it just becomes too lofty. I think they do try to take too much advantage of the environment to make it seem more dreamlike and do more editing tricks at the end. When I feel like the implication is enough, we just get back more and more back about like what how she's being mutated. I think is entertaining. It does get boring to me. I feel like just the initial incident, and then when she realized that her fingernail is fucked up, and then the second incident where she gets like really kind of fucked up and gets and then gets ping ponged around, and then you see like her like basically her corpse and all the guts spewing out in the corner, and then it pans out and you see like the nanites start to swaddle the even the blood droplets. I was like, that's a good implication. That's where it could have ended, because then it does it again like twice more after that, and like I'm bored at this point. It just gets repetitive. And I think a little bit too, I don't know, what's that called, indulgent as well. But that's my piece. Probably the strongest being good, but still not that good to me.
Well, I will say that this is my favorite segment in the whole collection, right? And like going into this, like sometimes you see like what Kate Siegel, like this is her directorial debut, and you're like, okay, directorial debut, let's see what you got, right? And like opening screen, Alana Pierce is the protagonist of this short. And I don't know if you guys know who Alana Pierce is, but there was the Rooster Teeth show Funhouse. She was on that a bunch. She's a video game personality, and she also has written many video games. And I knew her from that first, and she's also an Australian. And when she started doing her American accent, I was just like, holy shit, that's an American. Like, she's doing this actually well. And the thing is that this works really well for a lot of it, like intellectually, from what this plot through line is. This mother abandoning their daughter to be amongst the stars and being horribly scarred amongst the process. This is like one of the better concepts that we've gotten from any of the VHS films.
Yeah,
The problem
narrative is strong.
is that exactly the problem is that it just plays its hand too often. And I think that it's a foundational issue, which is a shame considering the best parts about this are also foundational in their own nature. So I just wish that they had found more interesting ways to make this work. But ultimately, I think that it's the best of the collection, though I don't think it's perfect.
I think Alana does a great job, and I think she really that's the best stuff of it. Her selling like the emotional conflict of this mother, like the beat where she realized she taped over like her daughter's birthday. She's like, oh, there'll be other birthdays, and like that there's something like really sad about that in this character. Like, yeah, I think the main thing is, like you said, it overplays its hand, and that there's not enough of like, once we get to the ship, there's not enough variation in like like we kind of know what ultimately where this is going, and we kind of are just buying time until that happens. Although I will say this as a conclusion is better than just, oh, a monster chases her and then kills her. Like that's like it's a predictable end, but it's a like nice little like ironic twist that I liked.
Yeah, no, it's a karmic thing. It feels very, EC, Tales from the Crypt, in the way that like all these anthology movies kind of draw from, like the progenitor of all that kind of stuff. And it's like, with VHS 85, there was also that karmic thing with Ambrosia, where like, I like that it's not like, it's totally bleak in that way. In a way, you could see it like as like a moral fable, and not just like, oh, cynical, cynical, cynical. Like it's horrific and it is tragic, but the tragedy is a nice change of pace. Like it's an intentional kind of thing. I just think it does get really indulgent at the end. Like it's like, this is boring, and like in terms of, like, we kind of get it, and it just feels like it's just I don't know. I don't do we like when she tried to kill herself, like, come on, do we need to see that? Like that's it's gilding the lily at this point. Like I'm not like, oh my god, it's horrific. Like really, do we have to go that far at this point? We got to get the gist. We got to get the gist when her guts were on the floor that she's not gonna that they're not gonna let her that she's able to die. Okay.
The problem is that she's afforded a lot of empathy in the latter half in the pain that she suffers through this, which like, hey, if you were in that situation, you're with it, right? But then like that's paired with the apathy that she shows in the first half of the short, like even when she's interviewing those people before she enters the scenario, like she doesn't really feel like she is trying too hard, like this just truly does feel like a distraction. That is what makes it work so well in terms of like motivation, in terms of like they're just leaving their child behind, and that's fucked up, right? The problem is that when it gets to the second half and it just plays out the way it does, it just doesn't feel like it reaches the potential of what its promise is.
100%. And again, you know what? I feel like I don't know, man. Like again, this is why I don't like this one Beyond in general, because like, what is there under the surface? Because you're saying like it plays his hand too often, plays his hand too much. Like it's very surface level. Like there's things underneath the surface, but then like, wait a minute, you think that there might be some nuance here? Let's just show another flashback to the birthday party. We get it. I wish there was more time to just kind of ruminate about things if they were gonna be this long and so forth. But I don't know. Like it's fine. It's fine. I don't.
I would like to see more films by Kate Siegel. I would say that.
Oh yeah,
I feel like I feel like her direction here is actually quite solid. I actually feel like Mike Flanagan kind of lets her down here. I feel like that a lot of this is a script
I think
issue.
It's the best directed one.
Oh yeah, of this, yes, of all of them, I think maybe top 10 in terms of like this direction.
Yeah, of Beyond, I meant.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the best directed one, and you're not wrong about Mike Flanagan. I think that a part of that sentimentality is his one of his hallmarks, and I think one of his Achilles heels as well. I think that a lot of times, especially in his more recent projects, he lets sentiment and schmaltziness get in the way. And I think that comes across here a little bit too, especially in terms of like how cruel it's willing to be. It just kind of cruel in like in the way that you're meant to like feel. Again, you meant empathy for, or pity for. And like, come on, I'm ready.
Look, we talked about Scott Derrickson and Robert Carlyle before, how they're kind of influenced by Stephen King. You also have Frank Darabont and Mick Garris. When there are people who get too close to Stephen King, sometimes the Stephen King parasite wears off on you. And I feel like Mike Flanagan, similar to Stephen King in this short, just doesn't know how to make an ending, and there are several beats where it could have ended, like Elvis, you had pointed out right at the top here, like it could have ended at that point and it would have worked, but the problem is it just keeps going and going and going, and you're like, I got it. Like, and like I said just before, I don't think it's Kate Siegel's fault. I don't think it's Alana Pierce's fault. I think that they're putting in great work, and I really enjoy a lot of what's going on here. I think it's one of the more sentimental and soft VHS segments we've ever gotten. The problem is that it just outstays its welcome more than it should, and I wish it didn't.
I feel like I would want to see something Kate Siegel that has nothing to do with found footage or anything like that. I think that there is some of the things that I felt were weird or awkward would have worked better if it wasn't VHS or found footage based. Because like the last shot, like I can see why they didn't want to. They had the idea they wouldn't want to end it on something like the blood getting healed too, which is a horrifying image on its own. I think in my mind, like that's horrifying to me. Like oh my god, even on that end, the nanites are drawn to the blood, so they hear anything. They're going to go for anything. It's like, oh, but we're going to have like the floating cameras just kind of pan over basically to like the little plushie that she brought Mitchell from her daughter. Like, come on, like really? But if it was a movie, you could have that kind of shot. Like not found footage, and that worked perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. But in this one, it just feels like we're just like, how much are we gonna extend this? Like
the plushie never gets symbioted to her, right? I'm not imagining that.
No.
And I feel like that probably would have done a better job than what it does linger on throughout the entire of what
Yes.
we get. You know what I mean?
But at a certain point, she's probably gonna have to evolve to like be stronger than what the thing is. So it's a happy ending.
Hey, it's going to turn into like a Kurt Vonnegut, like commentary on the human spirit when it comes in contact with otherworldly spirits.
She's got like the doomsday origin, keeps dying, keeps getting brought back to life.
Hell yeah.
All right, but that was Stowaway and Beyond in general, and I had an idea. I do want to talk about it. I'm not sure how much time Doug has, but I do want to talk about this. So I know that next week probably gonna do Halloween and then the ranking because I think that's we're gonna have time for both. You know, I was also kind of thinking of what if rather when we do the segment by segment ranking at the end we see how many of each film is in our top 10, and then that way we can see which one is the best VHS.
Oh, you want us to like also alongside the ranking of the segments, also like keep track of which movies
No, 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 no,
were
no,
they were part of?
no, no. I mean, yeah, I mean, don't have to really keep track of that because obviously, sticking to having to Emily was, from I think the second one, right? Was the second one?
No, that's the first one, I think.
First one.
That's the
And
first
then,
one.
10, 31, 98 from the first one, all that kind of stuff, So at the end, we say, okay, here's our list. And then when we go through them, we're going to go through them from top, bottom to top, RLM style.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, so which one's the best? Which one do we overlap, in terms of
The
segments?
most.
Yes, exactly. Weighted.
I feel like that's totally fair.
A ranked choice.
I feel like the only way we could do this is to like lay out, hey, this is the consensus pick in terms of what are the things that overlap the most, because I feel like all three of us have come at this in different ways and things have spoken to us differently, so much so to where when we get to that point, it's going to be a thing that surprises us all.
Yeah, we'll see what the Venn diagram falls. That's my idea. So next week, Halloween.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, and then we do Halloween first, and then after Halloween, we like bomb the top. We're to see which ones. Yeah. But any other thoughts?
You gotta take the shit, then wipe your ass. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts on Stowaway or Beyond?
Beyond is fine. That's how I feel about it. It's not the worst, it's not the best, but it's a VHS entry. That's how I feel about it. And Stowaway deserves a better VHS film, in my opinion.
It deserves like its own film.
Yeah, I mean, I'm offended by Fur Babies, but otherwise, it's passable to me, even if it is like overall pretty mid to mediocre to some bad stuff. But yeah, I'm a pretty easy sell on just the vibe of alien stuff, so it kind of skirts by on that, even if it doesn't maintain that. So it's not the worst for me.
Yeah, no. I'll stand by what I say about Fur Babies for right now. We're gonna see where things lay. Halloween, is the worst one for me. Like this, I'm gonna tell you right now. Right now, ranking number 0, right there. Okay. But overall, I gotta say, I learned something really, really, really interesting about myself trying to watch these two, because they're not on Tubi, and and the links I could find of her, on the seas, 'cause I'm not gonna buy Shutter for these, where
Nor would I want you to.
exactly, yeah, where like almost all of them were dead, and I kept looking for ones that were active so I can watch these two. I realized something, right? That unless they're like really free and like really, really easy to find, no way. And even now, would I go out and go like, man, I gotta seek out the next VHS.
Well, like you're talking about like future VHS installments, is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
just in general, like if it's not easy to find or pirate,
Oh,
I have no like energy or urge. Like I gotta watch the next one.
If I didn't already have Shutter, like it would be kind of like I would kind of feel it is starting to feel like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Like if I had to like pay to watch these, I would maybe start to get annoyed. Like even if
I'm not seeking them out.
It's they creatively need to switch it up and do something just different. They need to fuck with the formula in some kind of interesting way, and I don't know if they are motivated to do that.
The problem is that like there are moments within each of these VHS films that each of us have been like, oh, they could do that again, or they can expound upon that more. But like each of us have pointed to different elements to where we want that, right? So it's not even a consensus thing. Maybe at the next week's episode we'll find something that comes under that umbrella, but who knows? What I'm trying to say is that like the thing is that there needs to be more consistency on some realm, but also in the nature of these films' constructions. There are filmmakers of varying degrees of competency coming together to make a hodgepodge. That's going to be the nature of this thing. So it's like, while we are searching for something that's more consistent, perhaps like in the construction of this series, that's impossible. And that's the thing that always is going to be present no matter what. There's never going to be the perfect grab bag. I would argue maybe two, but putting the cart before the horse,
All right. Well, I really do have to get out of here, guys. Sorry to
Sure,
to
yes.
get, but
No problem.
this
You
was
just,
great as always. And yeah, you can see where you can follow me. It's all the usual places you guys know. So I'll catch you guys next week.
no problem.
Doug, see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye,
And you,
guys.
Tony?
Yeah, so that's me at poor old Rolo Tony on the Twitter. I was actually used for it this time. I'm been conditioned into it now, Elvis. Yeah, so you can follow me there. These guys got juice, recording with Doug as well. And in Films We Trust, going through the films of Larry Fessenden. That's going off with a smashing success. Please listen. And yeah, that's about it for me.
And yeah, I'm glad that you and Doug had the chance to come, and watch these two. I'm glad we talked about them. And oh my God, man, I had no idea people still care about the Corridor Digital stuff.
Oh my God. Like, hey, when you tweeted it, right? I was like, that's an instant retweet, because the thing is like Corridor Digital, I never liked them. I always thought they sucked, So
Yeah.
like when people did eventually turn on them, I was just like, yeah, damn straight. You finally came around to my waves.
And people, my mentions are still blowing up. Like still, like I had no idea. Like I like Doug and Tony are gonna like this one, and then suddenly I'm turning a barrel of 2,000 likes. My God, people are having little flame wars in my mentions. Like, you're not nuanced enough, or like, whatever. But anyway, thank you all for listening. I just wanted to bring that out there because it's relevant, and I'm not gonna bring it up next week unless people are still talking about it. But yeah, thank you, and see you next time. Happy Halloween. We're up to Halloween next.
Whoa.